Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this live show right now that's happening. All right. Ask me any US stocks live. If you guys can see and hear us, all right, hear me loud and clear. This type of GM for good morning. Let me just acknowledge all of you for being early today. All right, those of you who are joining us, or maybe you're just scrolling through YouTube, and I think we're live on Facebook as well. All right, this type of GM for good morning. All right. If you can see and hear me so that I know that this live is working, let me just check to see. Okay, I think we have like Andy over here. Good morning, Andy. Hi, good to see you as well. Hi, Chester. ABC. Hi, Chiseng. Good to see you every Friday as well. All right, so good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much. Hi, Bobby. Morning. All right, welcome to the AMAS, our Friday weekly Ask Me Any Stock session. And today, right, we'll be talking about the US market. So for those of you who are new to this survey, maybe right, you're just scrolling through YouTube and Facebook, you have no idea who I am. Or later we do a quick introduction, but essentially every Friday, right? Every Friday, we will go ahead to cover the stocks that you guys are asking about. And today we'll be talking about the US market, right? So last Friday was Singapore, today US, next Friday back to Singapore. So we're like alternating, all right, between Singapore and US every Friday, 10:30 a.m. Mark your calendars, all right, so that when we go live, you will be notified as well. And what you want to do in order to be notified, right, is that you want to hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button, all right, so that when we go live, you will be alerted, you'll be notified, and can join us as well, right? Can join us as well. So next Friday, we'll be back to the Singapore market. So this is a quick, coverage of what we'll talk about today. All right, we'll do a quick market outlook. All right, looking at some of the factors that have been affecting the market. Are we seeing a rebound? Should we be cautious? What are some of the key levels? Well, later we take a look at it, right? And after that, we will dive into the US stocks that you guys want covered, right? So later you can type in the chat, right, some of the US stocks that you want us to go through. And that's where me and my team, right, me, Bervyn and Zee, will do round robin style, right? We'll go through and we'll choose the US stocks that you want, and we'll cover it, right? So you want to give us a little bit of context, like don't just put a stock name, but give us a stock name and maybe like, you want to buy, you want to sell, what price do you buy? You bought last year, last month, I don't know, right? So give us a bit of context so that when we kind of give a bit of an opinion, it'll be more customized to what you want. Does it make sense? All right, so that's what will happen. And make sure you stay all the way to the end, right? Because when you stay all the way to the end, right, at the end, after covering all your US stocks, right, then we will go ahead to share. Me, Bervyn, and Zee, all right, will each share one US stocks that you might want to put in your watch list. Right? We had some really good bullish signals coming out on my 1GT indicator. Later, we'll talk about indicator. And that's where you want to put your watch list, right? So make sure you stay all the way to the end if you don't know what are the 3 bonus US stocks, all right? So help us to go ahead to just like and share. Help us to like and share, guys. That would be really helpful. Hit the like and share button so you can reach out to more people. And of course, as I say, hit the subscribe button, all right? That will help us reach out to more people as well, all right? Hit the like and share button. Give some love and heart shape. Thank you so much. All right, thank you for all the hearts and stuff, all right? Okay, very good. Let's get started right now, okay? So let me just go to introduce myself. For those of you who are just joining us, right, first time, my name is Choy, right, top tier advisor, trader in Philips Securities. I've been doing this for more than a decade now, focusing on stocks, mainly in the Singapore market, in the US market, a little bit of Hong Kong market as well, but stocks is my forte, right? Stocks are my forte. So I've been doing this for more than 10 years now, 15 years, 14, 15 years to be exact, all right, and one of the top brokers in Philips Securities. And we do have our trainings as well, all right, conducting our training program. So you can find out more about the entire strategy and all that. Well, you can attend one of those free webinars that we have. Team, maybe you can put the link in the chat, but today we'll not be talking about the entire strategy. We do have time for that, but attend one of those free webinars. You want to find out about my one good trend strategy, all right? And yeah, that's where I actually share a little bit more on this indicator that I have, the One Good Trend Pro indicator, and also the backbone or the framework behind it. And how do we actually filter out the top 1% of stocks in seconds and then know what to do with that? All right, so as I say, attend one of those free webinars to find a bit more, but today would be just, about pump, right? Just your stocks. We move on, try to cover like maybe about 18 stocks, and then we'll share with you 3 bonus stocks at the end, all right? So I have with me today Bervyn as well, who is also one of the top brokers under me in Philips Securities, have been with me for more than 4 to 5 years now, leading our group coaching sessions, conducting our one-on-one sessions for our mentees as well, and also assisting our team's portfolio manager with the managed account service, right? So Bervyn is actually what we call a CFA, Chartered Financial Analyst holder. All right. So those of you who are in the banking and finance space, this is one of the highest qualifications one can ever get in the finance space, right? So Bervyn, maybe just going to share a little bit on yourself for today. Go ahead.
Thanks, Joey, for the introduction. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our weekly AMAS session. Like Joey have said, today we are covering the US market. I think everybody know, I think the US market rebounded quite a little bit this past week. So maybe there are some opportunities around. I think some levels to also watch out for. But not to be too worried, I guess. Some might say that, you have to be a little bit more cautious also. So nothing wrong there as well. So I think continue to join us, every week as we cover the Singapore market, the US market. I believe you may get some insights from us right here as well. All right, so now I'll pass the time back to Joey to maybe continue on today's session as well. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, Bervyn. All right, so Bervyn has been joining us every single Friday on our AMAS session, going ahead to give you guys an opinion on stocks. Right, later you'll do that as well. All right, and I want to introduce another of my team member. All right, Zee. All right, Zee, who has been with me for more than 4 to 5 years now. Also one of the top brokers under me in Philips Securities. All right, and Zee is also, helping our mentees with one-on-one session, conducting our group coaching session, assisting our team's portfolio manager with our fund management business as well. All right. So Zee is pretty much an expert in anything to do with charts, right? Because why? She is actually what we call a chartered market technician. In short, CMT, right? CMT. That is pretty much one of the highest qualifications, right, one can ever get in the technical analysis space. So anything to do with chart patterns, candlestick, whatever, right? Indicators, she's the go-to person. And of course, she knows, and she and Bervyn both know the entire One Good Trend strategy really well as well, right? So Zee, maybe just share a little bit on yourself and how you can, add value today.
Hi everybody, thanks Joey. Hi everyone. Yeah, my name is Zee. So like what Joey mentioned about the chartered market technician, right? The charter holder that I have, basically it just means that I look at charts a lot. Like I do like looking at charts as well. But the thing is that even looking at charts sometimes, we don't want to try to make it too complicated, right? So many things on the chart, so many lines. It can be like too complicated for people to even look at it and don't know what to focus on, right? So basically for myself and my philosophy, it actually aligns with Joey's 1GT Pro indicator very, very closely, because how the 1GT Pro indicator, it helps you is that it can actually help you to, give you a quick opinion without overcomplicating things, right? So that is what I believe in as well, because I don't like things that are overly complicated, right? Because people don't understand, then I don't know what to do next, right? So yeah, so that's basically my philosophy, and I will pass the time back over to Joey to actually kick things off for today's session.
All right, thank you so much, Zee. A great introduction, right? So basically, guys, as what Zee has mentioned, right, we try to keep things simple with my One Good Trend strategy, right? So, we don't want to clutter the charts with lots of like lines and you have no idea what to do, and it leads to what we call analysis paralysis, all right? And later you'll discover as we analyze, your stocks, right? We can do it in seconds, and not just do it in seconds, but anyhow, but, in a very structured, very systematic way, but yet simple, right? Yet simple. And that's what I think most people don't do, right? They open out a chart, they have like 5 lines, they have 5 indicators, and one buy, one sell, one buy, one sell. You also don't know what's happening, right? So we don't do that. We keep it simple, all right? Of course, there's a framework to it, all right? You understand more? Attend a free webinar, but that's pretty much what we do, okay? So let me go to move on, and just a quick disclaimer, right? For every single AMAS live session, all right? This is just for education purposes only. Please do your own due diligence, all right? The usual disclaimer that we share, right? It's not really to ask you to buy or sell anything, or maybe not to buy or not to sell. It's really up to you, all right? Don't do your homework as well. And we just want to hear, we're just here to kind of give you a kind of like a little bit of an opinion, a little bit of opinion on a technical basis, so that you can make your own decision whether to buy or sell or not to do anything. All right. Okay, so let's get started right now, and I want to cover, go ahead, the markets. How many want me to cover maybe the markets? Just type an M for markets, guys. I know some of you are already typing the stocks that you want a quick opinion, like United Health Group. We have let's see, Chloe, Tesla, Nike, Williams Company, GoTo, Palantir, right? But how many of you want me to cover the markets? Type an M in chat, guys, if you want me to cover the markets very quickly. All right, and just to give you a quick roundup of what has happened, what is the kind of like move that we are expecting, our sense going forward in the next 1, 2, 3 weeks. Just type M for market, guys. If you want me to cover the markets, let me know. Okay, let's see, right? Serena, let's see, M as well. Apple, please, right? So what do you want to know about Apple, Serena? Just type in chat. Let us know a little bit. Give us a little bit of context. I think those of you who are typing the name of the stocks, right? Great work. You are actually give us a bit of context, like ABC, thinking of buying. Oh, okay, so now we know you want to buy. Okay, very good. So give us a bit of context, right? Not just the name. All right. Okay, let's go ahead to look at it. M. Thank you so much, Christopher, Fiona. Good to see you here as well. I think every Friday you are here as well. Okay, so those of you who are just joining us, right, welcome, right? In case you are totally new, welcome to this AMAS session, like the title right on top, right? Ask me any US stock. So today we're talking about US market. So if you have any stocks, basically that you're holding in the US, not Singapore, not Hong Kong, not other markets, but in the US, right? Type it in the chat, give us a bit of context, and we'll try and do our best to cover your US stocks and give you a quick opinion, right? But now, since a lot of you are typing MMM, let me go ahead to talk about the market. So this is the S&P 500 index. I think I'll just focus on the S&P 500 index today. All right, you can see that we are 5,916 as of last night closing. So this is like based on last night, 5,960. So not too bad. You can see, right? Since the beginning of, I would say, February, right over here, you can see, right over here, we hit a peak somewhere around, okay, let me just draw this very key resistance level in the market. I would say somewhere around the 6,150. That is pretty much a very key psychological resistance level for the entire S&P 500 index. Since February, in fact, since like November, December, January, February, right, we were kept below the 6,150. Look at this touch, came down. All right, couple of touches. And we just couldn't get above it, right? And this finally came back down. So that was in February, right? Even before this whole April, sell down when Trump introduced the reciprocal tariffs, right? And we were actually holding quite well above this support level. Look at this, right? So there was a support level. I would say, in previous AMAS live session, I talked about this support as well, the 5,800 rebounded, or every time we near it rebounded, but of course, somewhere around like early March, we broke down the 5,800, and it's where it started to really sell down more, all right? That's where it started to sell down more. Looking at the short-term trend, we can take a look at the green 20 days moving average line. So the green moving average line, you see, right, was like down and up, flat up a bit, and after that, since February, March, it was like down, all the way down, and that was even before April. And of course, in April, we kind of like sold off even more, all the way to around the 5,000, all right, 5,000. So we talk about this 5,000 level as well, being a very key psychological support level right over here. That was where we were somewhere in April, in about a year back, you see, right? That was where we were holding around here as well, rebounded. And same thing, right, when Donald Trump introduced the tariffs early of April, the market sold off, I think S&P sold off by more than 5-6% in a day, right? Has not really seen that since COVID, all right? And a massive sell now because it was a reciprocal tariffs like 20, 30, 40, 50% in dozens of countries. And in China, of course, it has escalated all the way to 145%. Of course, China retaliated as well and increased tariffs from like 50 to 80 and then 125%, all right? But over the past 1 to 2 weeks, we are starting to see some strength in the market. Why? Essentially, the US is, conducting what we call ongoing trade negotiations with a couple of partners, a couple of countries. I think the UK, they managed to negotiate to a deal, all right? And that kind of like, spark a little bit of momentum in the market. Of course, the main one would be with China. With China, a couple of days back, well, there was a deal with China to reduce the tariffs by quite a huge amount, all right, for 90 days, kind of like a 90 days pause, but at least there was some, ongoing softer approach whereby, both countries want to reduce. So I think for US from 145% is back to like 30%, still manageable. For China, they have reduced the tariffs on US goods coming to China from 125% to like only 10%, right? So it's a huge improvement. I mean, compared to at the beginning of April when both of them were, escalating it. Nobody wants to talk, and there were really some signs of a tit-for-tat trade war, all right, and escalation. But right now, both are working towards a de-escalation, all right. Of course, there's still ongoing talks to see how they move forward, move forward as it goes on after 90 days, but at least both countries are taking what we call a softer stance, right, towards this entire tariffs issue. All right, so the market has sort of see a little bit of a rebound, but now what we're going to do is very simple, guys. Let me go to remove all the lines, and I want to go to turn on what we call the One Good Trend Pro indicator. So I have these indicators, I say, right, this is based on my One Good Trend strategy. You want to find out more, attend one of those free webinars. The link is in the chat above already somewhere. All right, but with this One Good Trend Pro indicator, you can see that I can simply turn on, all right, turn on the bullish and bearish signals. 1, 2, 3, pump. Let's go. Let's turn it on. All right. And by the way, this is the S&P 500 index. Team just put the S&P banner up so people know is it. All right. So you can see this is pretty much the S&P 500 index. And since let's see, right? So we have a couple of bullish and bearish signals. I will not go too far, but you can see, right? We had a bullish signal in October 2023, all the way up. Each time we get a bearish 1 GT signal, it starts coming down a little bit. Another bullish signal starts going up. Another bullish signal here in September last year, all the way up. So let's see what has happened over the past few months. So as I say, right, in February, right? In fact, it was even before April, right? We actually got not one, but we got two bearish signals coming out in the market. All right, on the, to be exact, 27th Feb and 6th of March. All right, we got a second bearish. This is not good. Bearish signal, red color, not good. Okay, and we went down even more. All right, and that was even before April. Of course, April 1, everything sold off. You go down even more, right? So that was in February. We got bearish signals. Of course, the green 20 days moving average line that gives a confirmation on the short-term trend also started to turn down. Not 1, 2 weeks, but like for 2 months. All right. And over the past 2, 3 weeks, or finally, right, you see that the green 20 days moving average line has started to point up, right? Not yesterday or last week, since about 2 weeks back, I would say, the green 20 days moving average line has started to point up. So there were definitely, I think I mentioned in my previous US AMES session as well, there were definitely some signs of the trend starting to reverse back up, right? Starting to reverse back up. Of course, we needed a bit more confirmation, but there were some signs of it reversing back up. So finally, the green 20 days moving average line turned up. And can you guys see right over here that we actually also have another new 1 GT bullish signal after the 2 bearish one, since February down all the way. Finally, on the 29th of April, when is that? 29th April is like about more than 2 weeks back. In fact, I think in the previous AMES live session, we talked about it as well. There was already a bullish 1 GT signal. So it has started to push up a little bit. I mean, from like about, it was like about 45450 like that. Right now it's like 5,009. So yeah, I mean, it went up a little bit, really now it's about 5,009. But I still think that there could potentially be more upside. Let me go ahead to draw back this 5,800. So remember, just now I talked about this 5,800 being a very good support level. Support, of course, we got bearish signal. We broke down, retested it again. You can see rebounded back up, retested it again. All right, and it went even lower. So this is a key 5,008. And the question is this, right? Are we above the 5,800 right now? I mean, like today? Yes or no? The answer is yes. I mean, we have gone above it, not today. In fact, like on Monday, right? We already gone above the 5,008 already. So that is a very good confirmation. A second confirmation or third confirmation that, this is a very key support, became a resistance. We tested, came back down, and finally we got above the 5,008, right? So I think not too bad. The market is definitely looking to be more bullish. Since 1, 2 weeks back now, I think the momentum is ongoing all the way. I think resistance-wise, as I say, all the way back to the 6,150. So 6,150 to 6,200 would be where potentially some profit taking in the entire market can come back again. So why are we seeing strength in the market? I mean, overall, we are definitely seeing some strength in many of those technology stocks like Tesla, right? The Magnificent Seven stocks, Nvidia, all right, Meta, all right, all these stocks have Amazon, all this has pushed up by quite a fair bit, 5%, 6% over the past couple of 1, 2 weeks, all right, and that is leading the entire S&P 500 index even higher as well. So later we'll see, we can cover those stocks. I mean, if you guys are asking about it, we're going to cover it, right? But that is essentially some of the news that have been affecting the market, all right? And my thoughts on it going forward, I think there could potentially be a little bit more strength still, all right? We might push up, but it cannot like go up every day for the next like 2 months or 5 months or 10 months. I think, it's healthy to see a little bit of a profit taking, a little bit of consolidation before heading higher again. Like for example, right, previously, you see, right, we push up, and we consolidated here, all right, but of course, we broke down the support and went lower, all right? But what we could do right now, all right, if we want to see what we call a sustainable, healthy a bullish uptrend that can really continue all the way to the end of the year would be something like this. We're going to push up a bit more, all right? And don't like just up all the way like that. I think that's a bit dangerous. I think what happens is you're going to see a bit of a consolidation. For example, it goes up to 6,000 plus, 6,150, a bit of profit taking, maybe come back down a bit, consolidate down a bit, all right? And 158, pam, all right? We start to consolidate and we break the 6,002 to push even higher. I think that would be a bit more sustainable. And of course, when that happens, we would have new bullish signals coming out, all right? And I think the market would be even more bullish. But right now, I mean, we got the first bullish signal already coming out after the 2 bearish signals in February, all right? So I think not too bad, not too bad. It's still playing out, it's still ongoing. We'll see if a second or maybe third bullish 1 GT signal actually comes out. All right, so that is pretty much just a quick take on the entire S&P 500 index. So very good right now, guys. How many of you understand a bit clearer? Just type U for understand if you are a little bit clearer, if you understand a bit on the market right now, what is happening, what's on the key levels. Just type U for understand. All right, and as I mentioned, 5,800 is a pretty good support level right now for the entire S&P. If you can hold above it, that would be better. All right, type U for understand. U for understand, guys. If you understand a little bit on the market right now. All right, thank you so much. You just want to make sure I engage you guys, once every while in case I'm talking to myself for the past 20 minutes. All right, so thank you so much, Chester. You. What about the rest of you? All right, so hopefully you guys can follow as well, take some notes. That will be how you get value of today's session. So now, very simple, guys. I'll just talk about the S&P 500 index since that's one of the most popular index that we get asked quite often. All right, and let me share with you guys a little bit, right? We do have some clients who actually like to trade what we call the index, right? That means they take a position not on like stocks. I mean, you can like Nvidia and then Apple and all the kind of stuff, but you could also buy the entire market, right? You can't actually buy the index like this S&P 500 index, but you could actually buy what we call an ETF, exchange traded fund that tracks the S&P 500 index. Does it make sense? All right. So how can you do it? Well, you could just go to, just type in when you go to your trading platform, just type SPY. SPY stands for S&P 500 ETF. All right. So that's the kind of like ETF that tracks the S&P 500 index. So if you're like one of those who like to just time the market, all right, and you want to trade the entire market, you don't want to like stock pick and all that, well, you could buy the entire ETF, and that's how you can do it, right? The SPY, which is right on the screen right now, right? So if you have any issues with it, all right, just reach out to my team. So I believe some of you are actually clients of mine. Most of you might be clients of mine in Philip Securities. Just reach out to our team by WhatsApp. But if you're not yet a client of mine in Philip Securities, you're probably trading, you don't get much support from your own broker and stuff. Well, you can find out how you can become a client of mine in Philip Securities as well. All right. Or maybe team can put the link in the chat as well again. All right. So those of you who want to get some of those ideas by WhatsApp daily, some of our updates daily by WhatsApp, check it out. Find out how you can become a VIP client of mine in Philip Securities for free. You do not pay anything more, and that's where we add value. We are reachable by WhatsApp very quickly. All right, okay? So that's the link in the chat to find out if you're not yet a VIP client of mine in Philip Securities to get some of those services that we provide as a broker. All right. Okay. So now let me move on, guys, to go into cover the stocks that you guys are asking about. So I'll just go through very quickly. I think my team has already started some of the stocks already. Now let's see, right? Thinking of buying Amazon. So let me just go through very quickly. So what you want to do right now, guys, is going to type in the chat, the stocks, the US, not Singapore, not Hong Kong, US. Today is US, right? So type in the chat the US stocks that you want a quick opinion on, all right? And put a dash and then give an context, a bit of like why you want to cover this stock, right? I think like what many of you are doing already, like for example, ABC thinking of buying Amazon, all right? What is a good entry price for Baba, new uptrend for MU, right? Like thinking to get in, right? Dollar, General. Let me see. Let me just go through very quickly. Maybe I'll try to pick those that are a little more popular. But my team, all right, I'll pass on the mic to Bervyn later and Zee as well. We'll go ahead to cover one by one. All right. Let's see. Let me just choose one. Let me just choose one. Okay, we have. Let me see what is good. Okay, let me do Tesla. Chloe. TSLA, time to accumulate. All right, that means looking to buy lah. All right, looking to buy, time to accumulate, looking to buy. Let's see. I think we have Chi-Sing also, right? Chi-Sing, TSLA, Tesla also, right? TSLA. Okay, let's just do TSLA lah. TSLA. Let's see. There we go. This is Tesla. All right, let me just remove all the drawings. Okay, let me just go to. There we go. This is Tesla. All right. Should I hold and wait for the self-driving announcement or should I sell? All right. So basically, you are already holding. Okay, and should you sell, take some profit, or maybe you can go higher, you can sell higher, right? Make more profit, right? Let's go to find that out as well. Chising, all right, so very good. Let me go talk about Tesla right now. TSLA, pretty much the first stock for today's AMAS US session. So Tesla, 342.82 as of last night closing. So I think Tesla has been pretty volatile. Look at this, right? I mean, in like July last year, November, we were like 200. Okay, let me just draw this very critical, I would say, resistance level. I think that is none other than the 300. Look at this, right? So 300 to 280. We're pretty much consolidating below it right here, July all the way to October, November, and we broke above the 300. And look at this, right? The rally actually started to happen all the way up, right? And if you take a look at what we call the short-term trend, because it's a bit volatile, but take a look at the short-term trend, you see that for Tesla, the green 20 days moving average was like down, up, down a little bit. And from November all the way to January, you can see what the green line was pointing up. So very good rally. It was after February, it was like down all the way, right? So there was a bit of weakness, right, in Tesla, a little bit on due to tariffs as well, a little bit on news, about Elon Musk not really focusing on Tesla because he's now heading a department, the DOGE, right, Department of Government Efficiency, right, helping Trump in the administration in the US, right? So that was where, it kind of hit the stock a little bit, right, came down. And over the past like 2 months, we actually found a little bit of support right over here from 220, let's just say about 220, 220 to 300, right? I think somewhere around here you can see, right? So it's a bit of a support, right? 220, look at this, right? Rebound. So 220 to 300. That was pretty much what has happened from March and April, all right? And in fact, in April, right, when we had this whole tariff thing, actually it slowed down, but it was still above 220, So this 220 support was not too bad. And you can see the green 20 days moving average line that was going down, all right, started to flatten out. So once the green 20 days moving average line flattened out, it means that some form of support being found. So 220 was a horizontal support level, plus with the green 20 days moving average line flattening out, it means that, it's not pointing down. So we have found a little bit of a bottom. There's some stability in prices coming back. So in order for a reversal to actually happen, right, to really see the reversal all the way back up, what we need to see a couple of things, right? First thing, we need to see the green 20 days moving average line, not just like flat all the way. We need to finally see it start to point up, right? Start to point up like what it has been trying to do over the past 2 weeks. Does it make sense? All right, you can see, don't need to bluff yourself. The green line obviously is pointing up right now. Not right now, by last week it was already pointing up already, right? So there are definitely some signs of the short-term trend turning up, all right? So that's the first thing. The next thing is that we want to break above what we call a very key horizontal resistance level, right? And what would be the horizontal resistance level? Well, that is the 300 level, right? So as I say, 300 was the support, right? We broke above it and all the way, right? So right now you can see that actually, if I take from here and I copy and paste over here, you can see that we actually also attempted to break the 300 level over the past few days. Does it make sense? Right? So we have gone above a very key psychological resistance level at 300. So I'm not too sure, of course, it can be from here all the way to from here, but there's another sign of confirmation based on breaking above the psychological 300 level. So I think 300 will be a very good support now. It's a resistance, we're below it, but we went above it already. So now that will be a new support level. So let me just go to put it to green in color because now that is a support level. All right. And let's see where we could potentially hit to. I think, okay, maybe before we talk about the resistance or where some targets could be, before some selling actually come back, let me go ahead to turn on. As I say, guys, we have this one good trend pro indicator. So just now I did what we call a very manual step-by-step analysis, which is simple, all right? But sometimes if I'm lazy, and that's what I'm, right? Most people are lazy, right? So that's what I do as well. I can quickly turn on this indicator that I have, all right, that my graduates and my mentees has as well, based on this. So this is one good trend pro indicator, 1, 2, 3, just turn it on, pump. And let's see what it says, right? Is it the same? Is it bearish? Is it bullish? Let's find out. So this is Tesla. You see, right? I'm not going too far, but you see a couple of bullish signals in April, all the way up. 2 bullish signals in October last year. Look at this, right? 2 bullish signals and all the way, right? I mean, how high did it went from like here all the way to here? 77% in about 2 months, all right? And then what happens? We got a bearish signal. So whenever you get a bearish signal, this bearish signal came out, you don't want to buy lah. I mean, don't go and buy here, don't buy here, don't buy here, don't buy here. Don't buy as it goes down. Like, if not, you'll be stuck from 450, you're stuck until 200, right? So you don't buy when the bearish signal comes out. Does it make sense? All right. You only buy when there are signs of a reversal, when there are signs of strength, when there's a bullish signal coming out. Then you think about buying, right? Like over here, like that. All right. And also, like what is happening right now, it seems like we actually had a new 1 GT bullish signal coming out after the bearish signal that came out in January. All right, so it's about 4 or 5 months. Finally, we got a new 1 GT bullish signal coming out. So are there definitely some signs of strength? Are there bullishness coming in the stock? The answer is yes, right? Because finally, we got a new 1 GT bullish signal. We have broken above the $300 psychological resistance level. The green 20 days moving average line that was like down, flat, finally point up as well. So we got like a few confirmations. So I think not too bad. So I think back to your question, Jising, right? Should I hold and wait for self-driving announcement, all right? Or should I sell? Well, my take is that I think we could potentially still see more upside if we can break some of the next temporary resistance level, all right? Because right now things are looking a little bit more positive. Maybe a little bit of resistance around here, 380, and it was where we were supported. You can see, right? So we can break maybe the 350 or 380. I think that's where this bullish signal can continue to play out all the way up to maybe the 500, right? Look at this, 500 would be pretty much where we were in December, January, before we sold off, before the bearish signal actually appeared, all right? So I think that would be the upside all the way to here. After 380, 390, if that gives way, great, target could be revised all the way to that 500, all right? And of course, we want to see, if any bearish signal comes out along the way. If a bearish signal comes out, then yeah, you might want to take some profit, get up. But right now, as I say, things are looking a bit more bullish. There are more signs of it pointing up than down. All right. So I hope that helps, Chising. All right. And Chloe as well. That is pretty much the first stock for today. Tesla, TSLA. So I'll pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover his next US stock. Bervyn, all yours?
Thanks, Joey. All right. Okay. So let's see what's the first stock I want to cover. All right. Here we go. All right, Damien is asking, Williams Company, should I sell? Thanks in advance. Morning, Damien. Thank you for being here as well. Really appreciate you being here. All right, let me just throw this up onto the screen. There we go. We have Williams Company. Okay, so for those of you who do not know, Williams Company is one of those popular energy companies that many people are actually looking at as well. I think the run-up since 2024 has been really, really good. I think since the start of 2024, up to its peak, that is a very, very good 90% growth. I think it's very seldom we see such a growth in a energy company, at least very stably as well. But I think since sometime in November, we have been pretty much stuck in a range. I would say stuck in a range where previously this $52 level, Damien, was a resistance level, and it finally broke through, and now it is a support level that has been, I would say, respected quite a lot of times. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times that prices have arrived or retraced towards this support level and had rebound for it. So of course, on the upper side, we have that resistance that has been also, pretty much acting like a ceiling, where sellers have actually also come in quite a few times, right around the 62 levels. We have sellers coming in twice for profit taking already. So your question is, should you be selling at this point? I think right now the prices looks to be in the middle of the support and resistance. So typically, I would say you tend to want to take a little bit of profits. Nothing wrong to take a little bit of profits closer to that resistance, or what we call like a sell zone sometimes, because that's when you know that previously or in the past sellers have also came in. All right, because there's nothing wrong if the prices go back to that support level and you can get back. Nobody say you sell already, you cannot buy back again, right? So you are worried that maybe will it break above that $62? I mean, nobody can tell you. I won't be able to tell you whether it will break above next week, following week, anything like that. But I think in the nearer term sense, all right, we want to look at that 20 days moving average. It's flattening out a bit. So pretty much like a consolidation going on. So we could see a consolidation happen just under that $62 level. So if prices are able to break above that $62 level, you can maybe perhaps I say the upside will be about that $72. So that's another 15% upside. But as of now, there's no signs of any bullish moves above that $62. So I think it is still okay to take a little bit of profits. So if we were to turn on, like Joey have said, that 1 GT signals, just give us a little bit of indication what is the momentum going forward. I think currently we still have this 1 GT bearish signal that came in, with prices or sellers have actually claiming close to that 62 level previously as well. So if we were to turn on next, that trailing support and resistance that I personally really like, you can see that there is, let me just delete this resistance here, move it up a bit. Okay, we have that trailing resistance at about that $62, very close, 61.5, very close to that 62 level that we have previously drawn as well. I think this is pretty much a very key level to actually watch out for, because if prices were to break above this $62, we have another 1 GT bullish signal that would come out as well. So I think in the nearer term, you want to be watching that $62 level. So I think one advice I could give you is maybe you can set up an alert. So if you want to set up an alert, just very simply right click, add alert, right? Prices crossing what level? I think you want a firm breakout above 62. So maybe you can put 63. So prices crossing that $63. Or alternatively, if you have that 1 GT indicator, 1 GT Pro indicator on your trading view, you can also set it to give you a 1 GT buy or sell alert. You set it once per bar, set it up. So when there is any new signals, you receive notifications. So come in, check out the what is the signals, or if prices have broken that key level that you have been watching, and then you can ride that upside further. So I think you have to also protect your downside as well. So I think you want to be watching this 52 levels, making sure that it holds, still being respected by those buyers, buying interest still coming back at those that 52 level would be a good sign that this consolidation phase is still intact and that breakout hasn't happened just yet. So to answer your question once again, should I sell? Nothing wrong to sell close to that 62 level. All right. Okay, so that's a very quick one for Williams Company. I'll pass the time now to Z to cover the next stock for you.
All right, thank you, Bervyn. Okay, so the next stock, right, that I'll be covering will be this company called UNH. So I actually saw quite a number of people is actually asking about UNH, right? Especially, you were saying that UNH has been gapping down this week. It's really tempting to nibble now and wait for reversal. What's your thoughts, right? And current chart does not support entry currently. And I think someone else is also HCL also asking about UNH. And one more, right? John is also asking about UNH, right? Whether is it time to nibble some. So let's take a look at the chart, all right? I mean, of course, if we take a look at it, wow, it looks very scary over the past few days. Why? Even the past few weeks, since the earnings came out, because price have been dipping very drastically, right? Since, let's see, when the earnings came out to where we are at, it's about a 40% in about 2 weeks, right? It has dipped 40%, and there's like two very big gap down, right? One over here on this day, which is 12th of May, and the second one was just yesterday, right? There was two big gap down. So a lot of people is actually thinking whether is it okay to nibble some, because the price indeed looked very attractive, right? I mean, comparing to like, a couple of months back, price was at 500 plus, but now price is about 270 plus, right? But the thing is that we don't want to just look at a stock and think about buying a stock just because, right, if you think that the price is actually lower than previously, lower than it by, like 1 month ago, 2 months ago, just by purely looking at the price. Because the thing is that we also want to look at the trend, and we also want to look at the signals, whether, are there any signals that, the trend is actually stabilizing? Because at this point in time, if you look at the moving averages alone, the short-term trend definitely is pointing down, right? It's really very steeply pointing down. And then the longer-term trend, if you take a look at the 100 days and 200 days moving average, they are also sloping downwards, right? Plus the fact that we actually have two 1 GT bearish signal on this date, 17th of April. Right, and as you can see over here, right, I actually draw this line, this 255, right? Why did I draw this line? So if you take a look back to where buyers can actually return, right? If you take a look and we scroll back all the way, right, that will be already back to, the pre-COVID level, 2019, 2020. This was, okay, let me just turn all this off first, okay? So it's easier to see, Okay, so back to 2018, 2020, this period, right, even before the COVID, this was where price was actually trading at within this range, right, about the 190 to about 255. And if we look at it, where price is at now, price actually yesterday night, it actually closed at this 275. and we actually see this particular candlestick right over here, right? So let me just zoom in a bit more, okay? So this particular candlestick, right, is what we call a doji, right? A doji, because it has, you know, it open and close almost pretty similar price. It open and close at a similar price. And this is specifically, right, this is called a dragonfly doji lah, because you can see it looks a bit like a dragonfly, okay? And this dragonfly doji actually is appearing right at this 255 level, right? And there is a very long lower shadow at the bottom here. And what does this indicate? This indicates that, you know, there is buyers actually coming back in to support the prices. Somewhere, you know, during the trading session, right, it went all the way down to about 252, but then when it closed, at the end of the day, it actually pushed all the way back up to 275. So this actually indicates buying pressure, right? Indicates buying pressure, which is a good thing, right? But the thing is that because price have actually dropped so drastically over the past 2 weeks, right? What we want to see is really indeed there is buying pressure coming back. So not just based on 1 day, because when we look at candlestick, we cannot just purely look at the candlestick on a 1 day. We have to look at a bigger picture. We have to look at a bigger picture in terms of what is the context of that candlestick with the trend as well. So right now we know that, you know, 255 is roughly the support level, right? Based on the pre-COVID level. And over the next few days, what we want to see is that whether price is actually indeed able to hold above this 250 to 255 before we actually make any decision to, you know, potentially nibble some of this position, right? Because the thing is that even that being said, I would ideally want to see that, you know, the 20 days moving average, right, actually at least stabilize or, you know, move sideways first rather than it pointing down. Because if it is unable to hold above this 255, right, then potentially you might see price heading back towards this 190 support level, which is the next support level, right? So let me just turn on the buy and sell signals again, as well as the trailing support. All right. Okay, so like I've mentioned, right over here on the 17th and on the 21st of April, we actually have two 1GP bearish signal, and plus the fact that now price is actually trading below the trailing resistance and it is moving further away from the trailing resistance. So that shows that, you know, at this point in time, if you're thinking about buying, right, maybe not to rush to buy in, because it will be best if prices, like I've mentioned, is able to stay above this 250 level and we are able to see some stabilization in terms of the short-term trend first. Because right now it is still steeply pointing out, and that's not so great. We don't want to buy and we don't want to catch a falling knife, right? Because what if you buy in already, it break the 255 and then it goes all the way back to 190 level. That is not what we want, right? So for those of you who are thinking about UNH and thinking about buying, right, then perhaps you can set some price alert, right, you know, and also monitor this stock closely whether this 255, this level, right, can actually hold, right, before thinking about taking any further actions. All right, so that will be for UNH. I will pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Let me go ahead to cover the next stock, and let me see, right? Okay, let me go to share my screen. I think I found this stock, pretty popular stock, and let's see. VC, you're asking about this, right? Still can buy AMD and Nvidia at what price, right? So I'll just focus on one of them. I think the stock would be Nvidia and NVDA, one of the most, I would say, popular, the leader in the entire AI space that's rallied, you know, by tremendously, right, since about 1 year back, all right, and now we are starting to see some signs of strength as well. So let me just go to see what's happening for NVIDIA. So you can see, right, for NVIDIA, I've turned on, look at this, right? So what happens is that, you know, to save time, I've turned on very quickly the 1GD Pro indicator based on the bullish and bearish signals. Let me turn it on again. And very quickly, you can see that for NVIDIA, right? We actually had a couple of a bullish signal. That was in like 2024, beginning of last year. Look at this, right? Got a bullish signal all the way up, a bearish one came down, two bullish signals all the way up as well. Two bullish signals all the way up. But let's go back to what has happened over the past, you know, 3-4 months since maybe the beginning of 2025. So you can see, right, since the beginning of 2025, well, we actually had a couple of bearish signals coming out, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bearish signals. That was in January. January. That was even before April, guys. I mean, there were already some signs of weakness for NVIDIA. All right, and you know, we have started to push lower from about 140, 150, all the way down to this support at about 90 to 100. Look at this, right? That was where I would say we have rebounded from in August last year. So when we hit it there, all right, there was actually a very, very good support. I mean, some bargain hunting actually coming out, right, from 90 all the way to 100, right? Of course, it was not entirely clear or out of the woods yet, but there was a very, very attractive level. And I talked about it, I think, in some of my group coaching session as well, in maybe our previous AMAS session as well, that if you want to nibble some, right, I mean, it's very, very attractive. So even nibble some at those levels is like, you can't do that, all right? But we want to wait for more confirmation before maybe, getting in a little bit more, right? And let's see if that confirmation has actually come over the past 2 to 3 weeks. Well, finally, right, after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bearish signals coming out since January, we finally have another, right, new 1 GT bullish signal right over here. So I think that's a very good confirmation. And when this bullish signal came out, right, it came out on the 7th of May, and that was like last Wednesday, right? Not too bad, right? So I mean, of course, it gone out a little bit, right? So as I say, guys, I mean, if you want to be alerted, right, you want to have access to a tool like this that can guide you much faster than when we do a live call like this. You can attend one of those free webinars that we have, and that's where perhaps you could we could share a little bit more on the strategy behind, and then how perhaps you could have a tool like this or an indicator like this to guide you when to get in when the time comes even faster. All right, and you can see, right, when the bullish signal came out, there were signs of the short-term trend actually turning up already. Look at this, right? The green 20 days moving average line, the green line that represents the short-term trend, was like down. I mean, apart from the bearish signals, it has been pointing down. All right, and flat, all right, somewhere in end of April, and finally started to point up. A bullish signal came out as another confirmation, and that's where it started to push a little bit higher. So not too bad. If I can draw this resistance level, I think that would be the 130. So we have also broken above the 130 over the past few days. So I think not too bad. We could potentially see a little bit more upside, all right, because this 130 was actually a very key support from October all the way to January. And then we broke down, all right. So now we are back above it already. All right, so that's a good sign of strength. All right, if you can hold above 130, all right, anything above 130, 132, I think yesterday was what, 134, right? Yeah, so anything above 130, like could be 132, 135, 13 something, all right? We stay above 130, I think that could be a very good horizontal support and could be the base of more upside to come, all right? And all the way to where? Well, I think all the way back to the previous resistance. Okay, it used to be 150, but let me just give a little bit of allowance. Let's just put maybe about 155, 150 to 155. Look at this, right? That was where we were, and we had some bearish candles coming out right over here. So I think anything near 150 to 155, right, we could potentially expect some heavy profit taking to come back. All right, and maybe even a bearish signal coming out, then you want to be careful as well. So I think right now it still looks okay. There's signs of the short-term trend turning up already since 2 weeks back. It's ongoing. Anything above 130 new higher support level, I think there is still more legs to this reversal. All right, so that's for Nvidia. All right, what price do you think about buying? Well, you need to have a plan. I think anything above 130. So if it does dip a little bit to near 130, you could consider, but have a plan. If it does break below, so let me just go to show you guys, like, based on this tool that we have, based on the trailing support and resistance feature as part of the One Good Trend Pro indicator. Right, let me just turn it on. You can see that when we got bearish signals coming out, okay, let me just remove this. So this is the 130 horizontal support that I've drawn, right? But let me just remove this, and you can see that we actually had this trailing resistance line popping up right over here as the bearish signals appeared, right? So down, and it goes down and down, and this trailing resistance, as the name sounds, like trailing resistance, follow it as it goes down. So it follow, go down, and finally we got a bullish signal as we broke above the trailing resistance. So right now you can see there is a trailing support that has popped up. So as Nvidia were to hit even higher, this trailing support that is right over here. So this trailing support, it accounts for volatility of the stock, right? It gives the stock room and breathing space to hopefully move up higher, but don't follow too closely as like no space. So give it space, all right? Hopefully it goes up higher, you follow higher, all right? So right now you can see the trailing support is right over here. There's some space between the price and the trailing support. So that's another confirmation. As long as we stay above the trailing support, that accounts for the volatility, or it still looks good as well, right? So as it moves higher, you can see the trailing support will probably follow and go even higher. So we could use the trailing support as a guide as well. So I think preferably what you want to do is to enter near a trailing support near 120, right? But it seems like 130 is already a horizontal support level for now. So those are all grounds or zones, all right, hot zones where you could consider timing your entry to ride the reversal even more. All right, so let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next US stock.
Thanks, Joey. Okay, so I think Chloe's asking about PLTR. So that will be Palantir Technologies. Palantir is showing some signs of strength or more signs of strength as it rebounded from those key levels. I think these lines were drawn during the last AMAS session. Prices have rebounded clearly from the 63 level, heading higher and breaking above that key $100. Psychological resistance now turned into a psychological support once again. And I think just 3 days ago, prices broke above that key 125 level as well. So we have new supports being formed as prices headed higher and higher again. So I think Palantir is one of those stocks that I think has seen very good growth in the last year or so as well. But what we want to look at, I think in the nearer term, or say let's just zoom out a little bit first, we have that 100 days, 200 days moving average, right? Chloe still pointing up. Even during that sound sell down, there was the 100 and 200 days moving average was still pointing up. I bet that 20 days moving average had point down, but it was flattened out, right? Flattened out, and then about towards the end of April, it pointed up once again. So I think this is a good sign. This is a good sign that buyers are keen, buyers are back, buyers are pushing prices back up even after the earnings. Prices actually gapped down a little bit, but it quickly recovered and pushed new highs. So if I were to just turn on that 1GT buy and sell signals, I think surely we can see that there is two 1GT bullish signal. I think the most recent one just came out 2 days ago as prices broke above that key 125 level. Another confirmation that the bullish sentiment is still present. The momentum is still present. So I think in the nearer term, let's just draw like a projection. Let's draw a projection 125. So I think 125 upwards about 150. I'll draw the targets up to the 150 level. First, put it as red color. But like Joey have just mentioned, these are like hot zones. So hot zones meaning that other people are actually also looking at this level. Looking at this level to do what? To sell, to take profits as well. So because these are levels that people tend to want to take profit, see if prices approach back to that resistance or approach back to that support, and then they can get back in. So I think as of now, it looks like the sentiments are still not too bad. It still looks bullish. So if we were to use this feature, this trailing support and resistance feature, we turn it on, we can see that very clearly. Like Joey have also mentioned just now, I think Zee also have mentioned that this trailing support takes into account volatility. So if you are looking as compared just now to say Nvidia, you may see that the gap between the price and that trailing support is wider for Palantir in most cases, on most days. It shows that there is higher volatility in the stocks as comparatively or relatively. So then you want to be a bit more careful, or you want to protect those profits that you have. You don't want to have those profits turn into losses if prices break those key levels. So right now that trailing support is about that 104, 105 level. So Chloe, if you are looking to protect some profits, you can use this trailing support as a level, or just a indicator or a reference to actually place your stop limit orders below this trailing support. So as prices continue to show that bullishness continues to move up, you shift your stop limit orders up slowly, bit by bit as well, to continue riding the trend while protecting or preserving more of those profits. So even when prices, say if it meets with that resistance at that 150 level and turns back down, you will still get out with profits. So you do not limit your upside, all right, while still protecting your downside as well. So I think it's a very good strategy for you to maximize your profits at the same time, especially with all the trends looking still very good. All right, okay, so that is a very quick one for Palantir. I'll pass the time now to Z to carry on with the next stock.
All right, thank you, Bervyn. Okay, so the next stock that I will be covering is by ABC XYZ, right? So I think yeah, your name is quite familiar because we do see your name every Friday. Thank you for joining us. So let's cover Amazon, right? Okay, so for Amazon, I mean, first thing first, right? We can actually this is one of the stocks that we always analyze with our clients and our mentees. So there are some lines that are really drawn here, but it's quite easy to see where the support and the resistance are, right? Because I mean, of course, we can see that, support is where buyers always come in to support the prices, right? So very clearly, we do see some support, buying pressure coming back here. Here it was retested. It actually broke below, but subsequently it actually rebounded the next day and prices managed to hold above it, right, since August all the way to where we are at. And here it was where price actually broke above this 160 and then it managed to hold above it since February, right? Then in terms of resistance wise, I mean, of course, we do see that, this $200 level right over here is one of the psychological resistance, right? Selling pressure came back in. We see a 1 GT bearish signal. Selling pressure push price all the way back down. So this 200 is actually a psychological resistance, right? But very recently, let's just take a look what happened. So recently over, I think 4 days ago, on the 12th of May, price actually broke above this $200 psychological level. So actually, I should turn this to a green, right? Because it has turned from a resistance to become a support. And with this 1 GT bullish signal, what does it mean, right? Why did we have this 1 GT bullish signal? Because if I turn on this thing called the trailing support and resistance, we can see that, price actually broke and closed above and managed to hold above this trailing resistance. And that is a good sign, right? That's a good sign, means that buying pressure is actually returning. And over the past few days, I mean, we do see some profit taking returning. And yesterday price closed a bit lower, but it is still holding above the $200 psychological level, right? Let me just turn this off so it's not so messy, okay? Okay, so ABC is actually thinking about where to actually enter Amazon, right? Where to actually enter Amazon. So in terms of entering Amazon, we want to enter near a support level, right? So perhaps somewhere near this $200 psychological level, this is where you can potentially position yourself for entry. But again, like what Joey and Bervyn and myself, we have been mentioning over the past few sessions of our AMAS, right, is that you don't actually enter everything at one shot, right? Maybe you can nibble a bit. Why? Because if we look at this red line, which is our 100 days moving average, right, it's actually still pointing down. I mean, at least it's not that steep anymore, but the 200 days moving average is actually going sideways. So there is some signs of potential reversal, especially with price rebounding back up from 160, and then now it's actually holding above 200. Plus, we see that the 20 days moving average is pointing up with a 1 GT bullish signal. So those are all good signs, right? Those are all good signs. But the thing is that if we are able to see, both of these longer term moving average, right, can actually start to point up, show signs of it pointing up, that would be even better, right? And the likelihood of prices actually heading it back up to the resistance at about 240 will be much higher, right? Because we have confirmation from the trend. So if you're thinking about positioning yourself for entry, then potentially somewhere near the support at this $200, right? Slightly above this 200, maybe 200 to maybe about 205. This is where you can potentially position yourself for entry and nibble some of this position, right? So as you can see right over here, I've also set my alerts already. This Amazon crossing about 203. So just to recap how to actually quickly set the alert, right? All you need to do is just to right click, add alert, and that was a price alert that I add, right? So I can add alert at maybe like, let's say 202, right? I can create alert. But if I want to add another alert, what alert would that be? That would be an alert to actually alert me if there is any new 1 GT bullish signal coming out. So what do? Change the price to one good trend, and I want to know if there's buy or sell alert. A bit more kiasu. I don't just place buy, but also I want to know if there's a sell alert. Okay, so I place buy or sell alert once per bar and create, right? So that will actually allow me, TradingView will actually alert me if there is any new 1 GT bullish or bearish signal, plus also this new price alert that I add, right? If price is actually crossing about this 202 level. Okay, so that would be a very quick one for Amazon. I'll pass the time back to Joey to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, so I think Z has mentioned really well regarding like how you can set alerts, right? So that whenever we get an alert, then we can look at the stock chart or the names, right? Rather than every day, just opening the chart to see whether there's any bullish or bearish signal. So that's what we could do, right? We could send an alert on this indicator, and that's how we can be notified much faster, right? So let me go to share my screen right now, and to go ahead to cover the next stock. I think we have this stock that quite a few of you are asking. Let's see, Eric Anderson, right? I would like to ask about AVGO, Broadcom. I bought 200 shares 2 days ago. Not sure if it continues to do well. All right, thank you. Very good. Thanks for being so polite. All right, I'll go to cover AVGO. I think Elric come. Elric. Hi, Elric. Good to see you here as well. AVGO, please. Is it a good time to add more shares? So Eric is already bought. Elric is maybe bought already, but looking to add more shares. So let me go to cover Broadcom right now, and then let's see if there could potentially be more upside. So to save time, I've turned on, as I say, the 1GD Pro indicator right over here. So as I say, you want to find out more, attend of those free webinars, so you could have a tool like this to help you as well. But let's turn it off and on. All right, and there we go. Matter of seconds for any asset classes, not just US stocks, not just Singapore stocks, but any asset classes. You get an opinion in seconds, right? So you can see, right? I'll not go too far, but a couple of bullish signals in December 2023, pump, all right? So every time you get a bearish signal, it starts going down a little bit. A bullish signal, it guides you to get back in, to ride it back up, right? So 2 bullish signals in December. So there was like December all the way up, and then got bearish signals coming out. So let's go back to what has happened over the past 4 to 5 months. Well, in January, right? Something like Tesla, I think I covered just now, right? There were actually some bearish signals coming out. So same thing, right? I think there was some weakness in the technology sector after the whole DeepSeek announcement somewhere around January, right? In China, all right, the startup DeepSeek that was have this AI model that was kind of like produced or created at a fraction of the cost, and that hit kind of like many of those technology companies in the AI space, right? Nvidia, all right, Broadcom got hit as well, all right, and that's where we started to see it sold off, right, all the way down. So bearish signals, another bearish signal coming out. I think that was in February. So in April, it went even down more, right? So that was what has happened for Broadcom until recently we went to a low of around 140. So I think 140 would be a very good support level. I'm not too sure whether we covered this, but I think 140, 150 actually is a very attractive level, all right, support. But yes, we mounted many times since last year, right? 1, 2, 3 times, all right, rebounded. So I think it's really a good opportunity to nibble some right over there, even though at the point in time there was no clear signs of the reversal happening yet, all right? But I think you can see that over the past 3 weeks, 9th of April, yeah, I think about a month back, right? In fact, about a month back after the whole tariffs, right? Finally, we got a 1GT bullish signal coming out already, right? The green 20 days moving average line. So when we got this bullish signal, right, you can see the green 20 days moving average line was actually still pointing down. Does it make sense? All right. So a bullish signal coming out, but the green 20 days moving average line that represents the short-term trend was still pointing down a little bit more. It's still a little bit more time. You need a bit more time and more confirmation, right? And finally, right over here, I think we get another confirmation right over here on the 24th, 25th April. That was where the green line started to point up. That would be where the confirmation comes in, right? Apart from that 1GT bullish signal. And there we go, right? I think from here, from 24th April, all the way up from like 190 to 232. I think it still looks pretty good. So let's see what would be the new support level right now. So I think right now, support level for Broadcom, right, it used to be 200. As I said, 200 would be a psychological level. You can see 200 was where we were supported in January, February. Of course, a bearish signal, we broke down and all the way down from 200 to 140, all right? But over the past 2 weeks, we have got above the 200 level. So that's the first good sign. All right? Let me go to turn on what we call the trailing support and resistance to see, right? You can see that, okay, let me just remove this. You can see that the trailing support based on this bullish signal that has popped out, all right? The trailing support has came out as well. So now the trailing support is following Broadcom, all right? As it moves higher, it gives it space to breathe and allow it to hopefully move even higher. So you can see right now, there's still some space between the price and the trailing support, which is around the 200, maybe 205, 210, right over here. So I think as long as you stay above that 210 or 220, right? These are all very good zones to maybe, if it dips, I'm not too sure whether it will dip, but if it does dip to those levels, all right, those are pretty much good zones to time your entry. to get in at a little bit more attractive prices. I mean, I don't know whether you'll hit back down to 140, 150 already, but but now it's already gone up. All right, that if we hold above this trailing support level, it does dip a little bit. That could be a good entry to get back in. All right, to ride it all the way to the resistance level. So let me just show you what will be the key resistance level. I think resistance. Let me draw this very key psychological resistance level. I think that would be none other than the 250, right? You can see 250 was where we were in December, January, February, came down. So I think anything near 250 now is what, 232. Still a little bit of leeway, So I think upside could be anything from here, all right, 210, 220, all the way to around 250. Let it consolidate a little bit. A bit of profit taking can happen. If we break 250, we may see a new 1 GT bullish signal. I think that will lead the whole new momentum again to a higher phase. Maybe targets could be revised to 300. All right, but right now I think Broadcom still looks good, right? More signs of it going up than down. Just that we are slowly approaching the 250 whereby some selling can come back again. All right, so that is Broadcom. That's Broadcom. So let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next US stock.
Thanks, Joey. All right, okay, let's see what stock do I want to cover. I think Jimmy. Hi, Jimmy. Welcome back. Disney, how far can it climb? Let me just change the screen. All right, right here we have Disney, Walt Disney Company. Wow, looks like they're in the last 2 weeks or so, we saw some very, very good up moves. To be very honest with you, I think Disney hasn't been on my watch list for a while already. Looks like there is a very, very sharp reversal that had happened, I think, about 2 weeks back. A couple of those key levels are actually broken. I think they're forming new supports. I think new key support levels are being formed. One right here about the 105 level, say is a very, very good support. As you can see previously consolidated here, turned to a resistance, finally broke above, came back down, tested again, broke below. Then I think as of early May, it had finally broke back above this 105, 106 support level. The 200 days moving average looks to be pointing up again, but it has been rather flat throughout the past year as well. But that 100 days moving average is starting to flatten out after coming down for about a month or so. So I think that is very, very good signs that prices have started to stabilize. Maybe we can find new key support levels right there as well. And we have that 20 days moving average, very, very obviously pointing up, intersecting with that $95 support level as well. We also have that 1 GT bullish signals coming in. I think all these are signs or good signs that the bullish trend or the bullish momentum is starting to kick in a little bit. But I think we have to respect their resistance as well. I think I'll place the resistance right around that 116 to maybe about that 117 level as of now, where I think previously we saw sellers coming back twice already. All right, twice already. So I think perhaps, Jimmy, I think in the near term, you want to just watch out for that 116 to 117 level. So if that level is able to give way, can firstly place that upside towards that about 124, 125 level first, especially if that bullish trend can continue. Because I think definitely if we are able to see those key resistance level being broken, can see that bullish momentum continue with that another 1 GT bullish signal coming in. Just turn on that trailing support and resistance to see what it says at this point. So Jimmy, I think if you are holding some of these Disney shares, you may want to just take note that trailing support is right around that $100 psychological level as of now. So this could be a level you could place your stop limit orders at the same time. But I think, as you can see, as prices pushed up higher, that volatility or that gap that has taken into account the volatility have also increased quite a bit, because prices have pushed higher and higher and higher without much consolidation. You see 1, 2, 3 days only from that $195 support broke above that 105, 106 previously a resistance level, it only took 3 days. You can say pretty much no consolidation happened within that range. So I think if you want that uptrend to continue to be healthy, that reversal to remain intact, got to see a little bit of consolidation, which is I think very normal, which is also a good sign that buyers are in control, but not taking into account too much sellers coming in to actually push prices lower than that support as well. So I think Jimmy, I think you just want to watch a couple of those levels. I think upside to 124 target could be possible, but firstly we have to see that 117 giveaway. So like Joey and Z have mentioned, I think quite a few times as well, set up those buy and sell alerts for your 1GT indicator. Get yourself notified that the 117 level is broken. Come in, maybe adjust your stop limit orders, adjust it upwards, continue to protect those profits. But I think as of right now, we see the initial phase of the reversal into an uptrend very, very much intact. All right, okay, so that's a very quick one for Walt Disney. I think I'll pass the time back to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so the next stock that I'll be covering will be this counter called GoTo by Eugene. Eugene is asking, GoTo, will it go higher? So, Eugene, I hope you are still here. So the thing is that Bervyn and Joey here, we are unable to, predict prices, whether will it go higher. But what we can tell from the charts is where are the lines of support and the resistance, where the buying pressure and the selling pressure return, right? So those are the levels that we know. Because if we know price will go higher, probably we wouldn't be here already, okay? so let's take a look. Let's take a look at GoTo, okay? So for GoTo, right, I think I believe this is actually a Chinese company that is listed in the US. Actually, sounds like one, okay? And we saw that just yesterday, price actually the stock actually released their earnings, and we see a very bearish candlestick right over here, right? And the thing about trading during earnings season is that you cannot really predict what the price movement will be like, because if we see right over here, right, it seems like the earnings result surprise not bad, right? But what actually happens last night was actually profit taking return, right? We see a very red bearish candle. Price went all the way up to the high, near this $4.75 resistance, $5 right over here, and selling pressure pushed the price all the way back down and closed much lower. So profit taking actually happened even though earnings results were probably good. Right? So the thing is that for people who are unable to take such volatility during earnings seasons, especially when the companies is going to release the earnings season, right, then you can actually stay out until the earnings are actually out, market actually stabilize already, you enter that and after analyzing, right, and you find that there's potential zones for entry, that is also okay, right? You are not missing out on anything, okay? Because the market will always be there. There will always be opportunities, right? So that is one what I wanted to share, in terms of especially during earnings seasons. Sometimes good earnings, prices can fly all the way up, but sometimes good earnings, prices can also come down, okay? So right now, very clearly we can see that right over here, right, there is actually a resistance, right, somewhere near this 480, 470 to this $5, right? Basically this zone right over here. Right, this zone right over here, I would say is one of the resistance zone, right? Why? Because if you see back, June to August, this whole period, right, this is where prices managed to hold above this 480 to $5 level, right, for about a good 2 months, right, before it actually broke down, and we actually see 1 GT bearish signal coming up, right, and prices went all the way down, right, all the way down to the low of about $1.85, right? So right now, I mean, of course, over the past, on the 1st of May, right over here, we do see a 1 GT bullish signal coming back in. It just means that there is slightly more strength returning, right? And this can also be seen from the 20 days moving average, right? It has actually crossed above the blue line. But if you look at the longer term, the red and the blue line, what does it show? It is actually still not that great, right? It's still not that great. The blue line, the 200 days moving average, is actually still pointing down. So what we want to see, right, what we want to see is that if prices is actually able to break and hold above this resistance, right, then potentially, yes, I would say that GoTo, there is more likelihood of prices heading up higher towards where? Perhaps towards this level right over here, which is the $6 psychological resistance. Because right over here, if you look back, we can actually see this, right? We can actually see this. And this was actually a support, and it turned to become a resistance. So if only price, I would say, if only price is actually able to break and hold above this, $5 psychological level, right? And we are able to see, the red line, which is the 100 days moving average, cross above the blue line, right? That would be even better for the longer term trend, the signs, right, of prices actually potentially able to head up higher back to the $6 level. Okay, so that will be a very quick one for GoTo. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much. See, let me go ahead and share my screen. I think Zee mentioned something really important and powerful as well. So basically, guys, for the one good trend strategy that we have, or basically any strategy that you have, right? Any tools that you have, we're not able to predict. We're not able to predict like a stock if we can go higher, or today is what price. 2 weeks later you go to this price, and then you go to that price, and you come down, you go up again. There's nobody who can predict that. But what we can tell based on the strategy that we have, like for example, my one good trend strategy, and basically my one good trend pro indicator, is that when we have a few confirmations of certain things happening, then I mean, it's not say like 100% or guarantee or what, but there is a very high probability, all right, high winning rate, right, of this stock moving in a particular direction. Right? Is it 100%? No. Anybody tell you 100%, please run away. Like, there's no such thing as 100%. Of course, I think you guys know about it, right? But if we get, so based on my one good trend strategy, right, we have like a 7-point kind of checklist, all right, and we have like 4 or 5 more points as confirmation that this stock is moving in that direction. Well, I think that's a very high 70-80%, more than 60-70% probability that it can happen. All right, it's not 100%, it's not 90%, but 70% chance that based on the 4 to 5 confirmation out of 7. That it can hit to the direction, right? So that is how it works, right? There's nobody who can tell you that, oh, it will sure go up to that price, and then you can sell, and then you go down, you buy this price. Please run away, right? No such thing, right? So that's how it's. I say you want to find a bit more about the entire checklist, the step-by-step, framework. Attend all those free webinars, right? Today we don't have time to share with you guys, but many of my graduates as well have gone through this checklist as well. All right. So now let me move on to the next stock, all right, that is pretty popular as well. I get asked quite often on this stock, and that would be what we call Microsoft, all right? Woon Hoon, all right? Teo Woon Hoon, right? Good time to buy Microsoft now, right now. So is it good time to buy? Or is it maybe good time to buy last week or last week? Well, let's find out. So you can see for Microsoft, I'll not go too far, but Microsoft actually has been one of those really, very firm, fundamentally strong stocks since 2-3 years back. In fact, since like 2023, right? We had a couple of bullish signals coming out. Look at this, right? All the way up. Got a bearish signals comes down. So let's say, right, we get confirmations on when to get in and when to get out. So these bullish signals are just one confirmation, all right, to think about getting in. So like we see a bearish signal, then you want to wait, all right? A bearish signal plus a few other things, like I say, right? So same thing, when you get a bullish signal, it doesn't mean just go and buy, all right? You get a bullish signal, great. You want to put it in your watch list. You want to look at it, right? When you get the green 20 days moving average line going up, another confirmation, and a few other confirmations as well. Of course, the long-term trend, the red and blue line, they were both pointing up as well. And look at this, right? All the way up from here to the bearish signal coming out, about 28% in about 5 months, right? 5 months, and then we sold off again, right? So these bullish and bearish signals can guide you to maybe not buy, especially if you see a bearish one. Same thing, got a bearish one starts coming out. You don't want to buy when a bearish signal comes out. You want to wait because it can go down, right? So don't buy, all right? So let's fast forward to where we were. So you can see for Microsoft, well, we got 2 bearish signals in January, February, another one. Of course, April go down some more. You can see these bearish signals started to play out. All right. So same thing, when you get bearish signal, you don't want to buy. You want to be patient. You want to wait for confirmation to get back in. You want to wait for signs of the trend. Stop pointing down and finally turn back up. All right. Then you think about getting in. So let's see if that has come. Right. I think over the past 2 weeks, so not too bad, right? Finally on this date, 29th of April to be exact, right? So we were alerted. To this. This stock right over here. Why were we alerted? As I see, this bullish signal. All right. You can, like, now we go through your stocks. We type the name of the stock. It comes out and we see the bullish signal. All right. So some people might ask me, hey, Joey, but you must type the name, then you see, then it comes out, then you see it comes out. Is it? What if you don't? Can you be alerted when the bullish signal appears? Right. So that you don't have to every day open and close the chart and see whether it is there, lah. Does it make sense? All right. Well, the answer is yes, right? So what we did was, like, we set an alert, like right click, send an alert, like what I think Bervyn and Zee have showed you as well. All right. One good trend pro indicator. All right. Buy or sell alert once per bar. create. So that's how when this bullish signal came out, we were alerted by an email, by an app notification, by the pop-up right over here, and we knew about it, right? And you see that since then, this bullish signal. So you can see it actually gapped up. Wow, there was, I think, there's some results announcement. I think it's pretty good, strong results announcement that surprised to the upside and where you gap up. So that was like the bullish signal 2 days. 2 days before it went up, right? So you can see maybe on the next day you could have got in, all right? And the green 20 days moving average line at that point in time actually started to slope up as another confirmation as well. So not too bad, not too bad. Of course, it's gone a little bit higher already. I mean, from here all the way up to here, it's like about 19-18% already. So maybe let's see if it's, I mean, slightly higher already, right? But let's see if, is it time to buy right now? Back to your question, Woon Hoon, I would say, let me go to draw this resistance. So whenever we talk about, is it time to buy? I'm going to first of all understand is that is prices near what we call a key resistance level. What is a resistance level? A resistance level is a price level whereby every time we hit there in the past, we always come back down. All right, a lot of selling pressure lah. All right, so we try not to buy near that selling pressure zone because that's where you come down, right? So where you buy there, right? So what is a key resistance level for Microsoft? Well, I think I can draw this line right over here based on what we have seen previously in July. So I think that would be 460 to 465 right over here, right? Pretty much where we were right over here. I think we are pretty much nearing this resistance zone. So not say you cannot buy, but just that, you know, we could potentially see some heavy selling anything near 460 to 465. So if you want to get in, normally you want to wait for maybe a bit of a pullback, maybe to near 440 or 430. Okay, let me go to turn on the trailing support right over here. So this is a trailing support, you can see, right? So prices have gapped up quite a huge move upwards due to earnings. The trailing support that follows it also follows it, but you can see it got up quite fast, so there's still a bit of space. But you can see the trailing support is around 420. All right, that accounts for the space, that accounts for the volatility of the stock, that allows it to move even higher. So I'm not too sure whether it will dip to like 420 for you to buy, but I think anything near 430 to 440, I think that could be a little bit more attractive than, I mean, if it dips, all right, I'm not too sure whether it dip, but if it does dip to the 440, 430, I think that would be a much more attractive prices to get in than if you were to get in near that 460, 465, because that is where, as I say, is a resistance. We have seen selling previously there. We got a bearish signal. After that, it came down, all right? So if we hit there again, you know, some profit taking can come back, all right? So that is the resistance zone. Of course, the key here is that, right, there's a resistance where selling can come back. But if we can break the resistance, if you can break the 465 or 470, this is a different story, right? That means we have lift off the entire, you know, 1 over year consolidation. We would probably get a new 1 GT bullish signal. So that is another level, it's another story whereby we could start to see more upside, right? If we can break the 465 level. But before that, we're still below it. You know, that's where take note that some profit taking can come back again. All right, so I hope that helps, Woon, right, in terms of like, is it time to buy Microsoft? What are the key levels or key support to take note of? And by the way, guys, just to share with you, right, I think some of you are actually asking as well, like, you know, we have kind of like analyzed your stock, NVDA. We have talked about NVDA just now, right, 8%. But I want to share with you guys that, you know, me, Bervyn and Zee, we have talked about, you know, our analysis on this One Good Trend Pro indicator. So in case you want to test drive it, let me just show you guys. Team can place the link in the chat, but you could actually test drive what we call my 1 GT Lite indicator for free. So this is the One Good Trend Pro indicator, whereby we have a couple of more advanced features like the trailing and horizontal support and resistance, the risk management, volume, and all the stuff. But we do have a simpler version that pretty much consists of the buy and sell signals, which are the first box right at the top, and of course the moving averages as well. All right, of course some trainings as well. So this is a One Good Trend Lite indicator, not the Pro. This is a Pro one whereby there's more things lah, right? But there's a light version. You can test drive it for free. Click on the link in the chat, all right? And that's where you come to this page right over here. Most incredible free gift ever. Test drive my One Good Trend Lite indicator for free, all right? And that's where it could guide you to, as I say, get in and get out. When you see a bearish one, probably don't want to buy. Bullish one, maybe give you more confidence to think about getting in as well. Does it make sense? All right, so that's the link in the chat. Check it out. Plus, you get over $3,997 worth of pure trading, all right, for free, just for saying, maybe for testing it out. Check it out. The link is in the chat, right? The One Good Trend Lite indicator, the simpler version, right? That just contains of the bullish and bearish signals. All right, so now that I've covered this, let me go and pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next US stock. Bervyn, all yours?
Thanks, Joey. All right, okay, let me just see what stock do I want to cover here. All right, okay, found this comment. Ray, just found this channel. Awesome idea. What are your thoughts on NBIS? First of all, welcome, Ray. Welcome to our weekly Ask Me Any Stock for the US market. Hopefully, you are still here. Hopefully, you are subscribed to us now and you will join us weekly for our Ask Me Any Stock sessions. All right, so you're asking about NBIS. I'm going to be really honest here. I do not know of this company, do not know much information about this company. So purely just based on the trend right now, we actually see one thing that actually stands out to me is previously prices were actually on a high situation where it had pushed higher, consolidated, came back down a little bit, but it broke out of this pattern. It broke below that $35 support level that was kept above previously. So I think that's the first sign of a weakness actually. And we also have a 1 GT bearish signal that actually came in just as prices broke that $35 support level. Then we see another 1 GT bearish signal and prices headed further to test that $20 psychological level. I think in the more recent days we see a little bit of strength coming in to the counter. We have a 1 GT bullish signal, but as Joey also have mentioned, doesn't mean you immediately buy. Why? This is why, because we actually still see that 100 days and 200 days moving average still not in favor just yet. You have that 200 days moving average still pointing down, but a little bit of a consolidation or consolation also, I would say, is that 100 days moving average have started to move sideways a little bit already. So although we have that 20 days moving average pointing up, for now, I think we see a little bit of buying momentum coming in. I think I want to see that 200 days moving average flatten out a little bit, showing a little bit of stabilization. Why? It's because you do not want to buy in a downtrend, because the trend is your friend and you don't go fighting your friend, right? So you want to actually wait for a little bit of a stabilization above that $35 level, and I think towards the upside of $50 could be possible if a little bit more stabilization and a little bit more strength comes in the next few days as well. You can find a little bit of a temporary resistance right around that $40 level. So I think if that $40 level is broken, may see another 1 GT bullish signal coming in. Confirmation of that reversal into an uptrend would be possible, but I think we have earnings actually coming up, 20th of May. So I think that's one day you got to look out for a little bit more. I think volatility could also kick in. Hopefully we see a good earnings, and then we can see better forecasts and better price targets being achieved as well. Just let me lastly turn on that trailing support and resistance. We actually see that prices are above that trailing resistance. We want to see that trailing resistance trailing support, extend out a little bit further as prices approach that $40 level. Then I think you could possibly start to see this trailing support start to rise above that $35, where perhaps that could be a good entry as well. But I think right now is more of a wait and see situation to see whether the prices or the buyers actually come in as planned or what. But I am not able to tell you. Nobody can tell you if prices are going to go higher, break above $50, go back to $75. I think that's a very unrealistic thing to actually say. So I think we want to just take a back seat for now for NBIS. All right, so that's a very quick one. I think Z, can I pass the time to you to cover the next stock?
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so let me just share my screen. All right. Okay, so Jade is asking Jade is asking about BJ, right? So BJ, I believe, would be BJ Wholesale Club. But before I begin, right, I think I will just do a very, very quick recap, right, of some of the stocks that we have covered. Before Joey decide how many rounds more do we do before we release and show you guys what is our bonus stock for today, okay? So I think Joey actually started off with, you know, the S&P 500 and market updates, right? And then after that, following, you know, the first stock that he actually covered was Tesla, and next would be WMB, and I did UNH, followed by Nvidia, Palantir, Amazon, Broadcom, which is AVGO, and then Bervyn actually did Disney, right? And then I did GoTo, GOTU, followed by Microsoft, and Bervyn just covered NBIS. Right, so that would be the 11th stock. So now this would be the 12th stock for today. All right, and I will just do a very quick one about BJ, right? BJ, which is BJ Wholesale Club Holding. So Jade, I hope you are still here. Okay, so for BJ, I mean, if we just take a look at the trend itself, longer term moving average looks great. Red line and blue line is heading up, but very recently we actually start to see some signs of weakness returning, right? If we look at the green line, which is the 20 days moving average, and over the past few days, on 13th of May, right, just 3 days ago, we actually see a 1 GT bearish signal coming out, right? 1 GT bearish signal coming out, but it doesn't, when we see this 1 GT bearish signal, right, it doesn't mean that the stock will crash. It just means that there is indeed more selling pressure. And of course, we can see at this 120 psychological level right over here, this was where the level was actually being tested multiple times, right? One time, actually here, it actually neared it, right? And we see a very long upper shadow, selling pressure came back. Second time right over here, third time, and just a couple of weeks back right over here. So it would, this 120 level is one of the crucial key resistance level that you might want to take note, right? Especially so if you're in a position and you're thinking, you know, about taking some profits, right? Because there is nothing wrong to take profits where near the resistance, which is near this 120 right over here, right? There's nothing wrong to take profits near the resistance. And in terms of the support level, one of the very clear support level that we can draw right over here would be this 108. Why? Because 108 right over here, this last time back in February, right? It was actually a resistance, right? Selling pressure came in, pushed price back down, and then it eventually broke above it, and we get multiple 1 GT bullish signal coming out right over here. You know, profit taking happened, retested it a couple of days, a couple of weeks later, and this is where we are at. So the past 2 days, we actually see price actually went back to retest this 108 level, and right now, yesterday it closed at 111. Is it still holding above the 108? Yes. So in terms of maybe thinking about positioning yourself for entry, we want to buy near the support level, right? So it could be somewhere near the support level right over here, you know, about the 108, 109, 110. This level right here is where we can potentially position ourselves for entry. But of course, like what I've mentioned, right, because right now we are seeing some short-term weakness, right, because the 20 days moving average is pointing down, but longer-term trend still looks great, right? So if you do actually decide to enter, you need to think about your stop loss plan. You need to think about how to actually protect your downside, right? If the short-term trend, you know, if it does break below, then what happens? You might want to think about getting out as well, right? Because the trend might also reverse, right? Because like what we mentioned earlier on, we are unable to predict where the price will move. And plus the fact is that this, if you take a look right over here, next week, right, 22nd of May is where the earnings will be actually released. So like what I mentioned earlier on, we would not know what the price action will be, especially on earnings day, right? Because it could be good earnings, but prices could dip. But it also could be good earnings and prices could soar also like this, right? So but do take note that, you know, we cannot just base on the past performance and predict what's going to happen in the future lah. Okay, so like what I mentioned, earnings season, earning day is actually coming up really soon. So for this particular counter, you know, if you're afraid of the volatility, you can potentially continue to monitor first and set some price alert near these potential entry zones, and, you know, monitor whether, you know, after the earnings, right, if prices is still actually able to hold above this 108, especially for those, you know, who are not so comfortable with trading during the earnings season. Okay, so for Jade, that would be for BJ Wholesale Club Holdings. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
All right, let's move on to the next stock. So maybe now is what time? About 12 p.m. So let's just go maybe 2 more rounds. Let's just go 2 more rounds very quickly. All right, we'll just dive right into 6 more stocks, and then after that we'll dive into the 3 US stocks that we share. Right. So very quickly, let me move on to the next one, and that would be by Styler. Right, Styler Ho. Let's see. Right. Okay, let me go to share my screen. Okay, so this is Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, one of the semiconductor firms, something like Broadcom, all right, and also supporting like NVIDIA as well and its GPU chips. So let's take a look at it right now, and you can see that this is Taiwan Semiconductor, TSM, right? So very quickly, you can see that I've turned on what we call, okay, so Styler, let me just go to hide your comment because it's a little bit thick, but let me read it first, right? TSMC, I sold half at 170 a few months ago. 170, that was probably in March, right? In March, 170, you sold off. And should I sell the remaining half now at 195? Now it's about 195, or will it hit above 200 again? All right, my cost is 100. So your cost is 100. Wow. So you got in around here at 100. Fantastic. All right. So basically you got in around here at 100. It's a very good, entry price already. Of course, it has gone up, came down, gone up, came down. We got two bearish signals, right? Okay, so by right, okay, so very good. At least you got in at 100. So it's a very good entry price. But now let's find out if you should sell the rest of it, or when you could have sold it by right, and also if you could actually hold on to it now to write even more upside for the balance that you're holding, right? So let me just go to hide this comment right over here. So this is Taiwan Semiconductor, TSM. So very good. You got a 100, you can see, right? We actually got a few bullish signals here when you got in, all right? That was in like January last year. 1, 2, 3 bullish signal, all the way up. A bearish came down for 2 weeks. Another bullish signal came up. A bearish signal came back down. So as I say, use this as a guide, all right? So if you have access to this, if you have, I'm not too sure that you're one of my graduate, but if you have access to this, right, it probably guide you to get in and also get out when the time comes, right? And you mentioned you sold half at about 170. By right, you should have sold half right over here. That would be better. You could have saved quite a fair bit of money if you have sold half and you get 2 bearish signals, not 1 but 2 bearish signals coming out near the 220, 210. All right, so you went down, then you sold half, so a little bit lower all right. So I think that's how it's very important to know when to get out as well. All right, just by having these two, all right, it just takes the emotion out of the way, and that's where you can get out, right? So never mind. I mean, so you sold half, never mind. You went down even more, right? So 170, so it went out to 140. But let's take a look at it, right? Over the past 2 weeks, well, finally, after the 2 bearish signals in January and Feb, right, we got a new 1 GT bullish signal coming out on when? On the 1st of May, starting of May, all right? So not too bad. Got the first 1 GT bullish signal. Let's take a look at the green 20 days moving average line. It was like down. So after the 2 bearish signals, it was like down. Now is it pointing up? Yes, right. Obviously, starting to point up. So there are indeed some signs of the reversal actually happening right now. All right. Support-wise, I would say 180, quite clearly you can see, right? 180 was where we were supported. All right. Rebounded. Of course, we went below it, bearish signal, and then we went even lower after breaking the 180 support. But same thing, right? Over the past few days, we actually got above the 180 as another confirmation. All right, so green line pointing up, we got a bullish signal, plus we broke above the 180 support turn resistance. All right, so that's a good thing. It is now a new support level. So where could we potentially hit to? All right, let's take a look at your question again, right? Should I sell the remaining half? All right, so basically you sell or the remaining half, or maybe let it go up higher, then you sell, right? So let's find out. So I think right now there are signs of it actually pushing a little bit higher based on what we're seeing right now. All right, resistance could be all the way to 220, 220. That was where we were, all right, in January, right, before the bearish signals came out, before we sold even lower, right? So I think looks okay. In fact, I think you could hold on a little bit more as long as you stay above the 180 or maybe 190. I think there could potentially be more upside. This most recent 1 GT bullish signal could still continue to play out, and let it ride a little bit more, all right, maybe to 210, 220, take some profit, take another half, up to you, all right, and that's what you could do, all right. And the thing is this, right, if it hits to 220, you can take some partial profit. That's where selling can actually comes back right over here. But if we break the 220, that is the question, right? What happens if you can break the 220? Could there be more upside? Well, the answer is yes. All right. If you can break the 220, I think potentially we may get even a new 1 GT bullish signal. I think that's where we could even see more legs to this rally. All right. It could be even more bullish. All right, Styler. So I hope that helps. That is pretty much my take on TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor. All right. So Bervyn, back to you.
Thanks, Joey. Okay, I'll go very quickly because I think it looks like we're running out of time. Okay, so I'm looking at what Lee Y is asking, is it a good entry point for him? So I think him is referring to him and Hers company. One of the up and coming company, I think very, very different kind of business. But I think in the more recent days, I think the earnings have actually shown that it is taking off quite a little bit. Prices have actually broken above that $36 resistance, now turned into a support level. We have a 1 GT bullish signal that had actually came out on the day that prices have actually broke that $36 level as well. That are all good signs so far. We have the 20 days moving average pointing up. The 100, 200 days moving average also pointing up, and prices looking to retest that $70 resistance that you have previously sold down from. So I think if I were to just very quickly turn on that trailing support and resistance, all right, could see that obviously we have a trailing support that is sloping up or heading up right at this point. I think we could find a temporary support close to about that $50 psychological level, which I think could be a potential entry for you. But I'm not too sure, if prices will come down to $50 to actually let you buy and then head back up. But I think as of now, I would draw this $50 as a good entry zone, or like a hot zone, like Joey have mentioned, where level where some buyers could be keen to come back in, especially because for psychological level is a nice round number. So perhaps maybe setting some alerts closer to that $50 level, maybe 51, 52 level, to actually let yourself know that prices have approached that level once again. Come in, just take a look at the chart to see if that moving averages are still showing a good uptrend or a good continuation of the trend. Then perhaps maybe it is a potential entry for you right now. I think buying at about $60 would maybe lead you to being stuck in a little bit like a nowhere zone, because we're right in the middle of the resistance and the support. Maybe the upside doesn't justify the downside just yet, but maybe closer to that $50 level, now maybe that upside could justify it a little better for you. All right, Levi, I think very quick one for hims and hers. Pass the time back to Z now for the next stock.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so let me just do a very quick one. The next one that I'll be covering will be CC, right? CC is actually asking about DG, whether is it good to enter now, and this is Dollar General Corporation. So CC, I hope you are still here. So for DG, first thing first, if you look at the trend doesn't look that great, right? The longer term trend, we basically are seeing like lower highs being formed, right? So even if I don't have to draw this but you are able to see like this downward sloping channel, right? So in terms of longer trend, first thing first, that's really not that great, right? And if let's say we zoom in and take a look at what's actually happening now recently in terms of the trend, I mean, we do see the short-term strength, kind of like go down, and now it's actually going up. And very recently, we do see 1 GT bullish signal coming out, but is it good time to enter? As long as we see a 1 GT bullish signal, does it mean that we must buy immediately? No, right? Because we still have to look at the bigger picture. And what Bervyn mentioned, we need to be aligned with the trend, right? Short-term trend, long-term trend, both have to be heading in the same direction. That would be even better, right? So for now, we are only seeing the short-term strength going up, right? The 20 days moving average going up. But in terms of the longer-term trend, it still doesn't look that great, right? The 200 days moving average is actually still pointing down. And right over here, we do see $100 psychological resistance right at this $100, right? Over the past 2 weeks, prices actually nearly, it didn't even touch the $100, right? We are seeing some selling pressure actually returning back to this counter already, right? So what we are, if you're thinking about entering this counter, perhaps not to rush in because we want to have more confirmation on the uptrend reversal first, right? First thing first, you want to see whether price is actually able to break and hold above this $100 psychological level. And second thing, we want to see whether the moving averages right over here, right, these two moving averages, whether the rate can cross above the blue line, and plus the blue line starts to head up. So that will give us more confirmation that this stock, right, the uptrend reversal is actually playing out. Because at this point in time, not exactly, because if all three moving averages are actually gonna head sideways, what can we potentially witness? We can potentially witness price could also be trading within a range, right? Because all of the moving averages are actually also heading sideways. So if you are thinking about entering at this point in time, like what I've mentioned, don't have to rush in. What we want to see if prices is able to break and hold above this $100 first, and if the moving averages are actually showing signs of it pushing back up. Okay, so that would be for DG. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much. Let's move on to the stock. All right, next stock very quickly. All right, so you can see that we are trying to cover a bit more stock. So our apologies, guys, if we cannot cover all the stocks. So we try to do like, my turn now would be like, I think total of like 18 stocks, right? So let's just do it. So let me move on very quickly, right? So I think there's some question as well, like, A person, do you conduct these live sessions regularly? Yes, a person, maybe you are new. So what happens is every Friday, for those of you who are new, right? Every Friday, we will do our AMAS, Ask Me Any Stock session. So today is the US market. Next Friday will be the Singapore market. We alternate between Singapore and US. So do join us. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, the follow button, so that when we go live, you will be alerted to it as well. All right. So I'll see you again, a person. All right. Hopefully we can cover some of your stocks as well. Now let me move on to the next one, and that would be Boeing. Can hold means you are probably holding on to it, and if you can go even higher, right? Let's find out. All right. KKK. Okay, so this is Boeing, $206. So very quickly you can see, right? I mean, we had a couple of bullish and bearish signals for Boeing. We got two, one bullish, all the way up. Bearish starts coming all the way down. Bearish August last year, all the way down. All right, two bullish signal in December came up a bit. Now, where are we right now? Well, we are right here at 206. And most recently on this day, 23rd April, all right, last month, we actually got a 1 GT bullish signal. And at the point in time, we've got a bullish signal, right? Well, the green 20 days moving average line was slightly pointing down or maybe flattening out. But you can see after that, it started to point up as another confirmation of the short-term trend. And let's talk about the long-term trend. So I think Zee and Bervyn actually mentioned a little bit on the longer-term trend that we want to be in the same direction with as well. So look at this, right? For Boeing since 2024, the red and blue were actually both pointing down. Red below the blue and both pointing down, plus a few bearish signals. So probably don't want to buy, right? But right now, you can see that the red line, 100 days moving average line, has crossed up above the blue, and the blue is also kind of like flattening out. I mean, hopefully it will point up as well, but if the red and blue start to point up, great. It means that the longer term trend has also firmly start to turn up as well. So I think that would be a very good confirmation of the trend really starting to see a reversal. But right now, I think it looks quite okay. We got a bullish signal. The short-term trend has already turned up 2-3 weeks back. It is still pointing up. And another confirmation that we're going to have is this, right? This level is very, very critical. Write it down, all right, KKK. That is the 200 psychological resistance level. Look at this, right? 200, right? We got the bullish signals after breaking it, all the way up. Bearish signal came back down, hovered just above the 200 for a while, couldn't take it, broke down, and there we go, all the way down. Retested it again, couldn't get above it, down more. All right, let's take a look. Are we above the $200? The answer is yes. I mean, now it's what, 206, right? Which is above 200 lah, right? So we are above 200. So there's another confirmation, right? If you can stay above 200, okay, let me just put this to green in color, because right now 200 will be a new support level. So if you can stay above 200, like today, I mean, next week or next week, right? I think not too bad. Potentially, we could see the upside happen all the way to, let's see, maybe 240. There was a little bit of resistance right over here in August 2023, and maybe all the way to 270. So that is kind of like the projected upside, all right, in terms of it being above the 200 to 240 first, and then maybe all the way to 270 if that gives way. All right, so something like what we've seen previously. All right, you can see from here we saw the rebound all the way up, right? So now you take this and you like kind of like paste it over here. Potentially that is what can happen, all right, if we were to stay above the $200 level, and of course before any new 1 GT bearish signal appears. All right, so it looks pretty okay above 200. Back to you, Bervyn, for the next US stock.
Thanks, Joey. All right, okay, I think the next stock I'd like to cover, I think SC is asking, can get in for NKE and PEP. Maybe I'll cover NKE, Nike. Just throw it up on the screen right now. I think, I mean, SC, I think, as you can see from the longer term, if you just zoom out, I think Nike had a pretty rough couple of years already since 2022. All the way has been coming down. So I think, needless to say, I can turn off the 100 days, 200 days moving average. You will still surely know that it's down lah. So let's not bluff ourselves about the longer term trend there. So we have a little bit of a few periods of consolidation. Prices have consolidated within these levels, once again, and perhaps another consolidation downwards. So we have mentioned, I think, throughout this entire AMAS, that consolidation upwards, consolidation move upwards, but prices can consolidate and move downwards as well. So that's something that you just want to take note. You do not want to also buy because prices are getting cheaper. Why? because obviously cheap can also become cheaper. You don't want to be caught in a position where you are buying downwards, averaging down, because of course every one of us have limited capital. You want to spend your capital wisely. You don't want to put it in a stock that could potentially, or the probability of it going down lower is high, is quite high as well. So I think right now we are in a phase where prices are supported by that $52 to $53 level. Although we have that 20 days moving average pointing up in the nearer term, is very much similar to what had happened previously, where prices or that 20 days moving average was pointing up but subsequently met with resistance and prices, or met with sellers and then prices came back down alongside that 20 days moving average. Just let me change this to a green color so we know that this is the support level. So I think right now we have that temporary, I think, resistance level about that $70 level, I would say, where previously was a support that had been tested a couple of times, finally gave way, and it came back down and it went lower. So I think just now Joey just showed you on how to do a projection from bottom up, but now I would like to show you a projection from top to bottom. So if this support level, this $52 actually gives way, could see further downside towards that $35 level. So not the best thing to actually see if this support level actually gives way. So we want to wait for a little bit more confirmation, or a little bit more buying interest actually coming back in, a little bit more optimism coming in for the company, where prices actually break above that $70 level, hold firmly, where I believe you will start to see that 100 days, 200 days moving averages converge a little bit, move sideways a little bit, flatten out. That's when perhaps a little bit of more stabilization is coming in for the counter, a little bit of interest, less selling definitely coming in. Then that's when maybe perhaps I would say the entry zone could be closer to that $70 level. So I think that will definitely increase the probability of a winning trade for you. I think you don't try to bottom fish or buying at the low, because the probability of it going lower is still there. We cannot deny that fact lah. Yeah, right. So that's a very, very quick one for Nike. I think pass the time back to Z to perhaps cover the last stock before the bonus stocks.
Okay, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so let me just share my screen quickly. And the last stock that I'll be covering from the live chat today, right, it will be this stock called TMO, right? And whether is it time to accumulate by AR1259. I hope you are still here. So the thing is that when I look at this chart, right, and I see your question, whether is it time to accumulate, I think we need to address this, okay? Because I think this is what a lot of people actually think about when they see the stock going down, and then they want to buy more and more lah, right? So let's take a look, because I'm not too sure where you actually bought your stock, right? Maybe somewhere near the high, and you are thinking of buying because you want to average now. That shouldn't be the mindset that we have lah, just because the price is going down. And because you know that if price actually going down and keep breaking support level, that's not a good thing, right? Then why do you want to buy when it's not so good, when the selling pressure is so strong, right? So let's take a look at this. Okay, so since the start of the year, right, February, we actually see a 1 GT bearish signal coming out, and subsequently over the past week or so, we actually see another 1 GT bearish signal. So in total, there's 3 consecutive 1 GT bearish signal, plus the fact that if we look at the moving averages, it is not looking that ideal, right? Because the 200 days is pointing down, 100 days is pointing down, 20 days also pointing down, and all 3 are pointing down. It's not pointing up lah. Pointing up, then yes, we want to think about buying. When it's pointing down, we don't really want to think about buying. You want to wait for it to monitor, monitor the stock, wait for it to stabilize us, look for opportunities, right, for uptrend reversal. But at this point in time, based on the trend and the moving averages, it doesn't seem like there is any potential uptrend reversal at this point in time, right? And if we take a look at the signals, right, when it first came out, right over here to where we are at now, it has gone down almost close to about 30% already, right? It has gone down close to 30%. And in terms of the short-term trend, let me just zoom in a bit more. This 20 days moving average, do we see going sideways? Not at this point in time. It is still actually going down, right? So that is not so good. That's not so good, because we want at least wait, to wait for the 20 days moving average to stabilize first, right? Because right now it seems to be testing this $400. Let me just shift this $400 psychological support right over here. It seems to be testing this. So what happens if this particular counter break and unable to hold above this $400? Definitely we will actually see more weakness returning back to this counter, right? Especially if it is unable to hold above this 400. So that is the reason why, right, if we look at the moving averages and all of them are actually heading down, like what Joey mentioned, the word probability, right? The probability of it going up, not that much, but the probability of it going down if it breaks the support is much higher, right? So for AR, I hope that gives you a better, clearer picture of this particular stock in terms of the trend, and perhaps you might want to monitor more, and in terms of whether is it able to actually hold above this $400, right, before thinking about taking any action. Don't have to rush, all right? Don't have to rush. Okay, so that will be for TMO. Passing it back to Joey.
Thank you so much, Z, all right, for the quick analysis. All right, so very, very good thing that Z mentioned as well, right, regarding like, based on the question. Sometimes when we get a question like, should I buy, should I accumulate? And we look at the stock, we're like, our thinking is like, why do you even want to accumulate a stock like this, right? So we, that's all part of the, one of the mindset that we kind of employ for the one good trend strategy, all right? So for this style of stock, like Z is showing TMO, right? Thermo Fisher Scientific. To be honest, I have no idea what stock is this. I've never heard before. All right. It will never be in our watch list. Why? Because it just doesn't meet all the ticks. It doesn't meet all the criteria. It doesn't meet all the points in the checklist. It will not be filtered out. I mean, we have bearish signals coming out rather than bullish. So we don't want to get in on stocks like this. So as I say, to find out a bit more about the entire strategy, not just the strategy by itself in terms of like what to do and stuff, right? But in terms of the correct, kind of like mindset, all right, mindset that you really want to have in the market, in the stock market, right? Attend one of those free webinars. I think that will really clear up, and what are stocks whereby you should ask about, can I accumulate, and what are stocks whereby you don't even ask about whether can you accumulate. All right, Ken. So let me go ahead right now to share my screen, and we will move on to the bonus stock. Me, Bervyn and Zee, we have like more than 100 of you still joining us. Thank you so much. But I'll go ahead to share with you guys one bonus stock, and then Bervyn and then Zee will each have you one bonus US stock, right? But before I do that, guys, let me just go to do a quick analysis, or not analysis, but a quick sharing of all the stocks that we've covered so far, a total of 18 stocks, which pretty much what we do every single Friday, Ask Me Any Stock session. So let's just go through it, right? So if in case you miss any of those stocks, right, guys, go ahead to watch the replay. Go to watch a replay, all right, on YouTube channel, so that you can check it out again, all right, and that's how it works, right? So watch the replay in case you miss any stocks, right? The first stock I covered, so I talked about the market first, S&P 500 index, and I covered Tesla, TSLA, right? Williams Company, United Health, UNH, the code, Nvidia, NVDA, Palantir, number 5. We have Amazon, AVGO, Broadcom, that's number 7. We have Walt Disney, number 8. GoTo, GOTU, all right, GoTo, Z covered it. Microsoft, and we have this stock called Nabius Group. The code is NBIS. No idea what stock is this, but Bervyn covered it. We have BJ Wholesale Club. We have Taiwan Semiconductor, TSM. We have HIMS. No idea what stock is it, but Bervyn covered it, right? Dollar General, DG. We have Boeing Company, right? I covered that, right? Boeing Company, not too bad. I think above 200 looks good, right? Nike, NKE. Z just covered TMO, Thermo Fisher Scientific, all right, a stock that we probably don't want to accumulate. Okay, so right now, let's move on into the bonus stock for today. And this stock is none other than Netflix. So I covered it in my previous, I think, AMAS US session as well. So you can see, right, these are the stocks that we want to think about accumulating, all right, because they are in a longer term uptrend, right? I mean, look at what the previous stock that Z covered, right? It was like, the red 100 days moving average line was going down, blue going down. But this is a bit opposite, right? You can see that we are in a very firm longer term uptrend, right? The red and blue, they're both pointing up, red above the blue. Definitely stocks that you want to think about accumulating on dips, on any slight retracement, right? So longer term trend is up. The short-term trend, that the green line, look at it, the green line can be down a little bit, right? Which is fine, because it gives you an opportunity to get in on dips if the shorter-term trend were to turn down, all right? So it goes down. Once it starts to turn back up, that's where you can think about getting in. All right. So very quickly, let me turn on the One Good Trend Pro indicator that we've been using over the past 2 hours to analyze your stock. So same thing, any stocks to get an opinion. We got alerted to this stock a couple of weeks back. Let's take a look. Pump. And let's see, right? So I'll not go through all the signals, but you can see each time we got the bullish signals in August, in October, all the way up. All right, another bullish signals in May, all the way up. Let's just go ahead to see what has happened over the past 1 month. All right, so we got not one, but we got two. So you can see a bearish signal came out in February, right? So market sold off a little bit. We got a bearish signal. Okay, fine. Came down a little bit lower from like about 1,000, came down to 900, consolidated. And finally, we got two bullish signals, not one, but two bullish signals coming out on the 21st of April and 22 April, right? Two bullish signals 1 day apart. And that's where, of course, we have gone up a little bit already, right? So you can see that we have consolidated above this horizontal support level at the 1,100 level over the past 2 weeks. The green, so the red and blue, I think that is quite easy to see. Long-term uptrend has been up since 2-3 years, right? The green line that was flat has actually started to turn up as well, right? Since the bullish signals came out on the 21 and 22 of April. That is another confirmation of that reversal move actually happening, right? And over the past 2 weeks, as I mentioned, green line still pointing up. We held above this horizontal support at about 1,100. So I think not too bad, right? It seems like last night, right? We are actually, we were actually attempting to push even higher, maybe breaking the 1160, 1170 kind of resistance. You can see attempting to push even higher. So I think to get even more confirmation, right? If you can, like tonight or next week, you can go above the 1,200, right? 1,200 resistance. Targets could be revised, all right, all the way maybe to even that 1,004 to 1,005. I think that could become like the upside, looking at the trend, longer term, the short term, the bullish signals that could still play, still playing out. I think there could still be more legs to this rally. All right, so that's the first stock for Netflix. Looks pretty good. Anything above 1,001, I think it looks like there could be more upside momentum. All right, Bervyn, your turn to cover the next, your favorite US stock for today. Go ahead.
Thanks, Joey. All right. Okay, so I think Joey just covered Netflix. Let me just cover mine. Here we go. I think by now, I think most people would know that one of my favorite stocks in the US is Visa Incorporated. I think the company is doing very, very well in taking advantage of the increased payments that are actually coming in before the tariffs. Now, after the tariffs deal lighten up, I think spending is about to increase or looking to increase. So I think a lot of people are looking at payment processing companies. Personally, I think so far for Visa, I think a few of the key levels or prices are at the key level as of last night. No testing that $360 resistance. Haven't break above it just yet. Haven't turned it into a support. But let me just turn this one into green color. The previous temporary resistance, about 350 psychological level, had finally give way alongside that one GT bullish signal that have came in after the sell down from that 360 level toward that $300 level. So I think right now, if we are able to see prices breaking above that 365 level, we could see another one GT bullish signal coming back in, giving the next upside target towards that 390 level very, very possible as well. So I think so far for Visa, the longer term uptrend is intact or had remained intact. A little bit of a weakness coming in earlier in March, where the 20 days moving average has started to point down, but it had looked like it has rebounded from there close to that 100 days moving average as well. With right now, I think the prices heading higher alongside the 20-day moving average. So that 360 level is a key level to actually watch out for, where I think the upside could be extended to that 390, perhaps even $400 level. So just like to take a look at that trailing support right now. You can see that that trailing support is right around that 340 level. I think still heading up, still giving the stock space to breathe. So I think for now, I think we can set up some alerts where if prices break above that 360 or firmly hold above that 360, key level. I think some alerts can be set up to let yourself know that we have entered a new phase where potentially we could adopt like a breakout strategy to actually ride on that momentum, especially if prices push towards that 390 level. Still looking good so far. I think can continue to monitor Visa. So I think Visa will still continue to be one of our bonus stocks. So now I'll pass the time on to Z to cover the last stock for this AMA session.
All right, thank you, Bervyn. Okay, so let me just share my screen. The last stock that I'll be covering today, right, as my bonus stock, will be none other than Quest Diagnostic, which is, I believe some of you guys are a bit familiar with this, especially if you have joined our previous US EMA session. Okay, so this is one of the stocks, right, that we really like as well, because of the uptrend, right? The uptrend looks beautiful. I always use this word, right? The uptrend looks really good, especially if we are seeing that all three moving averages are actually heading up. And I mean, of course, okay, let me just turn this off first. Okay, there's too many things going on. Okay, so of course, when the trend is going up, there will definitely be short-term weakness, right? Sometimes, selling pressure can actually come back and we actually see 1GT bearish signal. But overall, the longer-term trend is still going up. Prices are still forming higher lows. That is what we want to see, right? In a strong uptrend, right? And I think this was one of the stocks, right, that we actually first covered somewhere in February. Now this is where we are in May, and I think just 2 weeks back, this was actually one of the bonus stock as well. And right over here, right, I think I have also drawn this resistance, which is at this 180, right, this 180 level. This is where we have actually, draw this red box here, because this is where we mentioned that selling pressure could actually return, which is, in fact, we oversee over the past 2 weeks, right? We actually see selling pressure returning, right? Profit taking actually happened, prices came back down, right? But I mean, of course, when we take a look at this, short-term trend is going up, longer-term trend is going up as well. We also have a 1GT bullish signal, and if I were to also turn on this trailing support, right, we are actually also saying, the trailing support is actually going up, sideways. It's actually slowly pushing its way up higher as well, right? And just of yesterday, it actually closed at 176. There's strength returning. It actually closed at 176, much higher, very near back to the 180 again. So for those who are actually thinking of positioning yourself for entry, right, there are two potential zones that you can potentially look at depending on your risk appetite as well, right? Because some people, they like to, wait for prices to actually retrace, right? Retrace, selling pressure come back, retrace back to a support level, and that would be number one. That will be right over here, right, near this 165. This could be one potential entry zone. And secondly, there are also people who are maybe a bit slightly more aggressive, right? Slightly more kancheong, and they want to buy on a breakout. These are, I would say, this strategy would be slightly more aggressive, whereby you do need to have a trading plan in place. I mean, not saying that the one that buy here near the 165 don't need trading plan. You still need a trading plan irregardless of what strategy you use. Always have a trading plan in place to protect your downside. But I'm just saying that this strategy is definitely much more aggressive, because you're buying upon a breakout, right? Buying upon a breakout. So definitely, if prices is actually able to break and hold above this 180 psychological resistance, hold and break above, then potentially this 180 will become what we call a support level, right? And this is where we can potentially position ourselves for entry near the new higher support level, because the thing is that when the stock is in an uptrend, we want to buy near a support, right? And in terms of the targets, what targets are we looking at? The targets will remain the same based on what we analyzed the week prior. It would be based on this projection up near towards the 195. So this could be the next target that we are looking at if prices is actually able to break and hold above the 180. All right, so that would be a quick analysis for DGX. Is definitely still in my watch list as well, and the stock in terms of the trend is still looking great. So I hope you guys, if you guys like this stock, you can also add it into your watch list. All right, so I'll pass the time back over to Joey to actually close off today's session.
All right, thank you so much, guys. So there we have it. Right there we have it. That would be the three bonus stocks that we shared today. Right, for me that we Netflix, Bervyn covered Visa, and Z covered Quest Diagnostic. Right. So how many of you got value today? This type of V, guys, type of V, or give us some hearts and love type of V in the chat for value. If you've got value, especially if we have covered your stocks, let us know. All right, let's see if all of you have got value and know what we say makes sense to you as well. All right, and same thing, apologies if we did not cover your stock. Hopefully you can join us the next Friday as well, and we'll try to cover them. All right, so let's see how many we've got value today. Value. Let's see. All right, a lot of value as well. Thank you so much. All right, Wing Kyong, John, SC value. So thank you so much for staying all the way to join us today as well. All right, hope to see you next Friday as well. Ji Sing, every week you're here. Thank you so much, Colleen. All right, so next Friday we'll be back to the Singapore market. We're back to Singapore market. All right, so I want to share with you guys one thing, right? So I know today we're talking about like US stocks, but essentially I want to share with you guys, in case you missed it just now, is that on a daily basis we do actually share some of the top Singapore ideas, right? Top Singapore ideas with our clients, with my clients in Philips Securities for free, right? At no additional cost, and it's by WhatsApp. All right, like for example, let me see. I think today, right? Because this is a side note, right? So, okay, maybe how many of you are clients? Just type C for client, guys. If you are actually a VIP client of mine in Philips Securities, getting our daily updates by WhatsApp, just type C for client. Let me know. I mean, how many of you are clients here? I mean, maybe you might be just scrolling through YouTube or Facebook, but let us know if you are a client of mine. Just type C for client. If you are already a client of mine, getting our daily updates, ideas by WhatsApp. Let's see. Ji Sing, thank you so much. All right. Definitely client. John, client. All right. Thank you so much for the support. Really appreciate it. All right. Client. So a lot of you are clients of ours joining us, but some of you might not be a client of mine in Philips Securities. So if you are not yet a VIP client of mine in Philips Securities, where I'm a broker, I mean, if you are trading in Singapore, you need a trading account, right? So if you're not getting any service from your own broker, I mean, no ideas, no video, nobody WhatsApp you anything, you don't even know who he or she is. It's just like a hotline. Check it out. I'll just place the link in the chat. Team, can you place the link in the chat one last time? All right, so there's a link in the chat to find out how I can become a VIP client of mine in Philips Securities. In fact, I think this morning, this is a side note, this morning we actually shared, sent out a note. I got my team to send out a note on this stock called Centurion. It came out on my alert, right? So you can see this stock right over here. Let's see, right? That would be on Centurion, right? I know it's not US stock, it's a Centurion, right? That's a Singapore stock. We got a bullish signal. We sent out a note. It was somewhere around like, I think this was the note that was sent out, right? It was like about 130, and it has since like got up a little bit. So that is, I think it's gone up like 135, right? So if you don't get ideas like this faster, of course, this morning, those who receive it, probably has got up a little bit already, right? But if you don't get ideas like this faster by WhatsApp daily, check out, guys. The link is in the chat, all right? How you can become a VIP client of mine in Philips Securities for free at no additional cost. All right, you pretty much pay the same as whatever you're paying when you're trading anyway. All right, so no additional cost. Check it out, link in the chat. Okay, so I think that's it, guys. We have come to the end of today's AMAS session. All right, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to see you next Friday for the Singapore market again. All right, and have a good weekend. Take care, everyone. I look forward to work together with you. All right, take care. Bye-bye. Thank you so much, Colleen.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.